Okay. All right. You can start the record. All right, guys. So we're going to start here shortly. Cole's going to set us up. He is going to introduce you guys. Then he's going to tee up our first story. He's got a couple of reads, and then he's going to tee it out to the group. Let's just for purposes right now, we'll go Lynn first. Then we'll hear from Chris, and then we'll hear from Bruce. But I'll be doing the traffic on your conversation bar. But Cole, just go to Lynn first here on the whole issue with Trump saying that he wants people out there, or he wants the fans out ASAP, and Gavin Newsom saying, well, we'll see what the science tells us. So, and we'll have that conversation. Yep. All right, guys. So 7 minutes of conversation. So don't feel free to just unload. Plenty of time to talk. Cole's going to do some reading, and then when I put rap, just let him rap and get us the break, okay? So plenty of time here for the block.
Cole, can you tilt your camera just a touch?
Touch which way? That way?
Right there. Yep, perfect. And Bruce, does your camera keep sliding on you?
Does it keep sliding? No. Looks like
for some reason.
Yeah, it's too wide. I see what you're saying.
Kevin, will you go to the 4 shot so I can see what you're doing?
All right, Bruce. So now you got to just center yourself up, and we're all good.
That looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, here we go, guys. Here we go, Cole. Give you a count, and then you can take it away.
You got
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, another edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite is on the air. My name is Cole Wright. I'll be your traffic cop for the next 30 minutes. But until then, it's time to bring in the gentleman on the panel. Let's welcome in those heavy hitters today. And we start with a man who's covered baseball in the Windy City for 30 years. You can hear him on 670 The Score. Bruce Levine in place as always. Bruce, thanks again for gracing us with your presence. And speaking of someone that you hear every single day, it's Len Casper. He's been calling Cubs games for the last 16 seasons, and we can't wait for those games to reconvene once more. And this guy, he's, well, what you call a legend in the game. You see him on MLB Whip Around over on Fox Sports. You see him on Fox Sports College Football. It's Chris Myers, and he will be a contributor this year on the Marquee Sports Network. Chris, great to have you along for the ride today. Now, let's tackle today's first topic because we know that we're extremely busy here and time is of the essence. Now, as we know, President Donald Trump, he spoke with commissioners of major sporting leagues on Saturday, and he said that he wants fans back in sporting venues, quote, sooner rather than later. But if you flip the coin, California Governor Gavin Newsom, he said, quote, I would move very cautiously with that expectation. So, gentlemen, baseball and all sports, as we know, at a virtual standstill due to COVID-19. So what do you think? How much influence does the president have at getting leagues back together, and especially when it comes to Major League Baseball, Len?
Yeah, it's a great question, Cole. I think as we sit here in early April, it's probably way too early to have any sort of practical conversation about when not just sports, but, regular life continues. And until grocery stores are fully open with, normal hours, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. or whatever, and just all of the things that we kind of took for granted before the shutdown. I think it's probably then weeks, if not maybe months before the sports leagues get going. So I still think we're probably a few weeks away from having more of a practical conversation about that. But I do agree with the president that the sooner the better. And, everybody wants to get back to normal as quickly as we can. Let's just hope it's in time to save, if not just baseball, but, as many of the major sports leagues as we can.
Yeah, I think I appreciate the optimism of the president. I think we all do better with time frames and guidelines, and already we've seen some things move depending upon where we live and what's been discovered as we kind of all work through this, and we will get through this, and sports will return. I think it's very important. Our physical health, but the mental health of our country, and sports is part of that, and it has been historically. And we know about baseball through world wars and after terrorist attacks and natural disasters, depending upon where you've been and what a league has been able to do. And they've always been creative, and I applaud the Players Association for working, at least with Major League Baseball. I know other sports too. The players and the ownership and the commissioners are trying to stay within the health guidelines and get sports back, because it is important to our country. And yes, we need to follow the rules, but I think there's a way. I think any kind of sports, live sports, and we've already seen indications of that, is encouraging for our country. And I think it's important if it's done in the right. And I hope, whether it's, and I live in California, the governor here being very cautious. Obviously, each state is a little bit different based on their population and their situation. But I don't think a few states should hold any other league back from trying to play sports with or without people in attendance until we get the health factors correct. And it's very, very important. I'm glad that they're aggressively thinking in that way, as they should, Len said, in our entire society. It's health first. And while we're isolating, we still have people going to stores and keeping their distance. And if we apply common sense and pay attention to the guidelines, I think we'll be okay. And I think sports will be returning here at some point, whether it's baseball half a season or the NFL starting a little bit later. And fortunately for the NFL, their off season, they've been able to give us a lot of hope, I think, by still continuing within the health guidelines of having free agency and conducting a draft.
The idea that the sports is a diversion and baseball indeed is a diversion has not been lost on President Trump. And I give him a lot of credit for throwing out there something positive and being presidential, giving people the idea that sports is not that far down the line. I can't give you a date right now, he said, but it's essential that we get back to sports and that they open up again. And that at some point, maybe in August and September, we can have fans in the game. That was maybe one element of the whole thing that was a positive at one point and a reality check at another, saying, it's going to be a long time before we put 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people in the stands. But just to get our sports back and to have the president say that's important for this country, I think that's a very positive thing to take out of this.
I agree with everything Chris and Bruce said. The only kind of reality check I would add here is, we have to make sure, number one, I'm sure every player before we return will have to be tested. I'm sure every broadcaster, every logistical worker at the ballpark, grounds crew members, just people, security, making sure that the ballparks are open and safe. And they have to make sure that everybody is okay to start the season. And then the other part is the mental thing. I think there's an assumption that everyone will just jump back in head first once we do resume a season. I think there will be a few people, maybe people who are a little older, people who have had diabetes, who may say, I'm not so sure I want to come back this early. And so we're going to have to sift through a lot of that stuff and have a really good understanding that some people probably shouldn't be back in these situations until we're really in the clear. And God forbid a family member of one of the players in one of the big sports has a real bad health scare. That player may not want to come back as quickly as well. So we really need to be beyond this time frame before we get back to playing.
Well, like we said in previous shows, a loose outline of when baseball gets back to business, and that will not dictate when the game comes back. The virus will actually be the dictator of when baseball and all other professional major league sports actually reconvene. But Chris, we kicked around in other days about the topic of, there being teams playing down in Arizona with a rotation going on. What are your thoughts on a Major League Baseball season being truncated and being played in one central location?
Well, I think it's better than nothing, again, I think it's important. And to Len's point, I think we make choices, and I think players without pressure and those who work in trying to bring the game back should be given that choice. Hey, I'm just not as comfortable because of a relative here or something there, and we have to understand that. But those that want to do it should do it for the reasons that we've talked about. And it won't be perfect. He's right. There'll be hesitancy. It'll be awkward watching if there's nobody in the stands. We know about TV money and how television drives a lot of sports anyway. Nothing like being there, but let's be honest about that. So to me, it's not perfect, but it's important that we begin something. As the president has said, we can't stay locked up and isolated forever. And so however we can slowly roll out, whether it's isolated games or games without fans in attendance to start. Again, a lot of teams have some of the best medical people and should have the testing so that at least those that want to do this and go through this will have that going for them. And you hope, God forbid, nothing further happens health-wise to create any negative situation. But I'm all for it. I'm all for doing something within the guidelines to begin in a proper time frame with those of science and medicine that are working with our government and governments on a local level. If you can't do it here, well, then let's try it here. Because there are certain parts of the country, and we know this is contagious, but there aren't as many people on top of each other, and it isn't as great a problem, just like around the world. So I'm for any kind of steps forward, even if they seem a little awkward at first. It'll begin the process, which I think we need to do. And within, they talk about hitting the peak, and I think within a month or so. I don't think you can go much longer than that for the mental health of our society. But again, the virus and medicine will dictate that.
Okay, well, we're still in the middle of that tunnel, and hopefully Major League Baseball will be the light at the end of that tunnel once major sports do finally get back into play. Now, still to come right here, a few big names that were banged up during spring training, but now that delay, well, it gives them a little more cushion, a little more time to rest and recuperate. We're going to tell you who may benefit the most. That and much more coming your way right here. Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Stick around.
Good stuff, you guys. Good job. So good adjustment there. Chris went a little long on the second answer, but that's all good. No worries there. So I think you saw that I put Bruce up to speak next, and then I just changed it to rap because we got a little heavy. So all good, you guys.
Yeah,
really good segment there. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey,
We'll
Malik,
do
do
it,
you want these answers generally like in a 30-second
Little
range?
full
You
shot,
get
Kevin.
going and
No, I don't. I think you were fine, Chris. You're totally good.
okay.
Just I'll
didn't mean
take
to
care of the
ramble on
time.
that, but
No.
Okay.
You guys are
Okay.
good. Unload. We want you to unload. All good. Good
Right.
job.
Hey, what do you guys think about this as we're just sitting here waiting real quick? I talked to Mike McCarthy yesterday. What about if you think we try to bring back an old school home run derby? I mean, think about how little people have to be in attendance. An announcer, two guys hitting it, a pitcher and a catcher.
I like it. It's like the horse basketball that the NBA's talking about. You start small, but it's something. Yes, I like it.
I feel like home run derby would be more of a fan favorite, maybe because I just like baseball better than basketball. But I'd rather watch home run derby as opposed to horse.
Have you ever,
like two guys on?
Have you guys ever watched that for more than 7 or 8 minutes before you fell asleep?
No.
It isn't. I know, Bruce. It isn't great, but you know what you could do? You could have each team have their own home run derby and kind of move them around every 10 or 15 minutes, so that
That's not a bad idea.
I think if we
I was thinking that
yeah.
because I was saying since Sloan has so many cameras and there's more cameras than any other spring training location. They have RoboCams, so that would eliminate a lot of the camera workers. So I mean, I just thought that'd be a pretty cool idea.
It is a good idea. Especially
You could probably bet on it.
Yep, right. That'll drive some.
Biggest thing is getting the players to get to the locations.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
you have the guys
in Arizona, 3 guys for each
who's
team.
still down there, Lynn.
I know Rizzo is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sure a bunch of guys are, actually.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I talked to Mike McCarthy about that yesterday. He kind of liked that idea too.
Yeah, I mean the Cubs could start it if there was enough to.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
All
just
right,
if we
guys,
could get all that on Marquee Network, that'd be great.
Here we go, guys. Here's traffic for the B block. Cole, come with a rejoin. We'll bring you on camera real quick. Just introduce the panel real quick, and then you'll read your full screen of some injured players
Yep.
that may be benefiting from this break. From there, we'll go to the four shot, and we'll start the chat. We'll have about 4 minutes for this chat. Let's go to Bruce first here, okay? So we'll do Bruce, Chris, and then Lynn, and then we'll see if we have more time for after that. But let's go to Bruce here off this chat, off the full screen.
No doubt. You got it.
All right, here we go, guys. Five, four, three, two, one.
Back here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, your daily dose of Chicago Cubs baseball. I'm Cole Wright, joined by the guys Bruce Levine, Len Casper, and Chris Myers. And before we hit the break, we touched a little bit on that injury bug. And as we know, over there in New York, the Bronx, the Pinstripes, well, they were absolutely crushed by injuries when it came to spring training. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sanchez, just to name a few. And there's a few other big names that'll also get that much-needed rest time. That includes Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, and Shohei Ohtani. And Ohtani, he could be ready to pitch once the season gets underway. So, gentlemen, all things considered, when it comes to a player that's going to benefit the most from Major League Baseball being on hold, who do you think it's going to be? Bruce, I'll start with you.
Well, I think I'm going to defer saying a player and just say the New York Yankees, because you named 3 or 4 of your key players that have had injury issues. I mean, you have Judge over the last couple of years. You have Stanton over the last couple of years, maybe his whole career dealing with injuries. And Paxton is the key to that pitching staff. So when you put all those 3 together and Sanchez, I think this is a win-win for the Yankees if and when we get to start playing baseball. So from that perspective, they're 1A, B, C for me. Obviously, Ohtani's a huge one for the Angels as well, but I'm going with the Yankees for right now in that group of players.
Yeah, and I'll take. I guess I'll get to an individual, but I'll go with a position because I think pitching and pitchers, how valuable they are, even on a deep staff like the Nationals. But to have Scherzer, to have Verlander, if we're starting a season and they're at full strength or close to full strength, and that's another issue in terms of how pitchers gear themselves up and prepare for this, how unique all of this is with the kind of spring training and the stoppage and then when they start again. But if I had to pick one, I would go with Ohtani, and Coley mentioned because however the Angels use him, it'll be fascinating to watch. He's fun to watch anyway, and with Madden and how much he pitches him and plays him, if he's healthy to do both, and he's an entertaining act by himself. So for that reason, because he's so versatile and to have the extra time, I'll say Ohtani. It's a great benefit for him and fans of him and the Angels.
I'll be creative and take this question in even another direction and say there are 2 guys who, if the season isn't played at all, they probably wouldn't admit it, but Noah Syndergaard and Chris Sale, right? Both guys who just had Tommy John surgery, who are not expected to return until 2021. I'm not saying the Red Sox and Mets necessarily would hope for no season. I think every team and every player wants to play, but those are 2 really key components on 2 teams that have very high playoff aspirations, and they're not going to have their services at all in 2020, whether we have a season that is truncated or goes late or what have you.
Yeah, Luis Severino, also a member of that club with Chris Sale and Noah Syndergaard. Their 2020's gone because of Tommy John surgery. But Len, when it comes to a member of the Chicago Cubs, who do you think is going to benefit the most from the delay in the season?
Well, the interesting one for the Cubs is Brandon Morrow, who came back as a non-roster invitee, had more arm issues, then had another non-arm related situation, a chest issue. So it's just been one thing after another. And if there's one last gasp for Brandon Morrow, not only as a Cub, but maybe as a big league pitcher, this could be it. So the fact that the season's not going to start on time, maybe he's a wild card in that Cubs bullpen.
I'll take it a step further and say, who will benefit the most? Some of the aging players and pitchers, and maybe guys, like John Lester at the top of the Cub rotation, who is probably looking at a season where maybe he only gets 12 or 15 starts, we hope. That will benefit both baseball players like John and other veteran players who don't have to go out there and make 33 starts this year. So a lot of interesting angles, and certainly the injuries are a big part of it.
Yeah, and a shortened season for veteran players would certainly be to their benefit. The wear and tear on their bodies, or the guys, even the Ironmen who play and have played 150 or plus games. And how about for David Ross? If we're looking for something, he hasn't lost a game yet as a manager of the Cubs. But anxiously, I know he's probably as anxious or excited as anybody to get this thing going. You feel for him, or first-year managers or rookies who had an opportunity to play. It's just part of the sacrifice we're all having to make right now.
Yeah, those veterans, I'm sure they really appreciate all that extra prep time. And speaking of veterans, Jason Hayward, well, he's the owner of the biggest deal in the history of the Chicago Cubs at $184 million, but halfway home through said deal. Is he worth all that dough? Well, of course, we're going to discuss that and much, much more next right here. Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. We're bouncing back after this.
Good job, guys. Nice and tight. Good. Handled that segment well. Good job, you guys.
The other guy I was going to mention is Craig Kimbrell.
That's of course.
He did this last year, so it's no big deal.
That's right. He's already been through the routine. Good point.
Table.
All right, guys, the traffic here. So we'll have a little in bump bringing us in, a little music montage of Hayward hitting that home run in 2010 off the Carlos Zambrano when he was with the Braves as a 20-year-old. Off of that, Cole will bring us back in. He'll introduce the panel real quick. He'll tee up what is our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day, and that is the Hayward subject. Is he worth his contract so far? And we'll just go to you first, Chris. Then we'll hear from Bruce, and then we'll hear from Lynn, and then we'll see how much time we have. So Chris, Bruce, then Lynn, when we're talking Hayward here, you guys.
So Malik, are you adding that video montage in post?
Yeah.
So am I just coming back, welcoming the guys? We just saw Jason Hayward in that debut. You got it.
Yep. We just saw that magical moment back from 2010. I'm back and then just go. Okay.
Yep.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Back here on Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite, and boy, does time fly because we just saw Jason Hayward in his major league debut with the Atlanta Braves. Well, that was 10 years ago, and that long ball was hit off Big Z, Carlos Zambrano. Now Jason Hayward, of course, a member of the Cubs, and he's halfway through that 8-year, $184 million deal. So with the guys I'd like to discuss, Len Casper's back, Chris Myers is back, and so is Bruce Levine. And guys, we know that back in 2016, that was the season right before Jason Hayward signed that deal. Now, the Cubs, of course, they won it all that year, and Jason Hayward, he gave that passionate speech during the rain delay, which catapulted the Cubs to that commissioner's trophy. And now, of course, that speech lives in lore. Now, here's the refreshing take of the day presented by Miller Lite. We said 8 years, $184 million. He's halfway home on that deal. But, Chris, I ask you, is Jason Hayward, is he worth all this money right now?
Well, I would put it this way, and to be fair to him, I never fault a guy for getting the most money he can. But if you didn't look at the salary and the contract and you saw what he's done and how he showed up for the team, the kind of player he's been, you'd be happy. You'd be satisfied. Did the Cubs overpay? I'm always cautious about, and have been when I've talked to certain people at the front office over the years about paying for potential and long-term deals. Unless you get a Mike Trout, and there's very few of those guys when we say really long term, and we can get into Bryce Harper and some other people. But in this case, he's in terms of health. He had a couple of the seasons where there were injuries. I guess he's missed an average of 13 or 14 games a season, or just 50 plus over the time with the Cubs. So is he worth the money? Well, that's for other people to decide. I would want him on my team. I'll answer it that way. Would they have been better off spending some of that money in a different direction? Possibly, but you did win a World Series with this guy. And to me, ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
What Hayward has suffered from mostly is the fact that when the rest of the offense has not shown up for the Cubs, he's become the comfortable whipping boy of, gee, I wish we were getting the six-WAR player that St. Louis had in 2015 when we signed him to the $184 million contract. Well, he's not a six-WAR player. He did come back and have a good year last year. It was a decent season, 20 homers, the most RBIs he had in 6 years. The on-base percentage, always pretty good, lifetime 345. The slug is not there. He's not even an 800 slug or a 800 OPS guy. Okay, so don't look for that. He's still one of the top quality right fielders in the game. Look somewhere else. The other guys have to show up and bring their A game. I think he's been worth it. He's a class act who brings a tremendous amount of confidence and respect in that locker room. So from my perspective, do your job and Hayward will do his.
There's a lot of nuance. Number one, going back to Chris's final point, the Giants doled out $126 million, I think, for Barry Zito. They won a World Series eventually. That contract was fine. The Marlins in 2003 traded a young Adrian Gonzalez. They got Ugueth Urbina in return. Gonzalez turned in a just shy of Hall of Fame career with a bunch of teams, but the Marlins won the World Series in 2003. That was a good trade. The Cubs traded Gleyber Torres to the Yankees. In 2016, they got Aroldis Chapman in return. That trade was a good trade because what's the point of all of this? To win the World Series. So they did it in the first year when Jason Hayward showed up. That's exactly what you wanted. So that makes it at least a qualified, successful contract. And I look at the Fangraphs dollar value. As Bruce mentioned, 2015, he was worth $44.4 million in terms of his output offensively and defensively in 2015. So it's a little revisionist history to go back and say, well, why would someone pay him and give him the amount of years the Cubs did? If you look at his career prior to when he signed with the Cubs, he was on pace to become a perennial all-star. So he does everything you want defensively, base running. He's terrific, good leader in the clubhouse. He posts every day. He has not supplied the offense the Cubs wanted, and particularly for a right fielder. But again, if he does nothing else as a Cub, he has a World Series ring, and that's all that matters.
Getting back to Chris's point about you never fault the player for taking the money. In reality, Jason Hayward in 2020, he could be a platoon player. Souza was coming on very well in spring training. There are high hopes for him. A guy that can really slug the ball, had 30 homers a couple of years ago. Is it so impossible to get people to wrap their head around the fact that he could platoon even though he's making an average $23 million a year? That's the thing you have to kind of figure out if you're the team and the executives and the manager. Can you have a $23 million player for the next 4 years be a platoon player and a good one at that?
Well, Bruce, like you said, Jason Hayward, not an 800 OPS guy, but I'm sure he tracks down at least 800 fly balls that some other guys may not get to. Jason Hayward compensated very handsomely. Now, as we sit and wait for baseball to return in this new decade, it got us scratching our heads, thinking just a little bit. If we could pick one player to build around for the next decade, who would it be? So much young talent out there, and we're going to address it next right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Stick around.
Nice. Good segment, guys. I think you guys hit everything there. Well done. Good stuff, Bruce. Good stuff, Len, with the numbers. Really appreciate that. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kevin,
I think that's the one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cole. Go ahead.
No, I was just talking offline. Just when it comes to Jason Hayward, I used to be like, man, this dude's so big. I feel like he should hit more. But when you sit and actually watch him play defense as an outfielder, I feel like that dude is never in a bad position to catch the ball. He's always riding through. I mean, I think he's probably one of the best outfielders that the game has to offer, which sometimes gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, he's about an $8 to $10 million player, making more than double of that. But
got a good agent.
And he's got a good agent, and his contracts probably stopped them from doing a couple of other things along the way. But you can't say that he isn't a smart player. It'd be one thing if he didn't hit and he was a bad defender and couldn't run the bases. He does everything but hit. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that makes the
that's
most
a
money.
platoon player.
Yeah.
That's a platoon
He's a
player.
platoon player. Right. Yeah.
But you do like a
But
guy.
I feel like he's
always gives the effort,
Go ahead, Chris.
right? I mean, he's always trying, and he is, for all the reasons you guys said, teammate. I mean, you got to have those guys around if you're going to win. I mean, maybe not at that price, or as Bruce said, playing on a regular basis, but you want them. You want them on your team.
It's easy to root for.
I also feel as if he were a smaller guy, he wouldn't catch as much flack for not hitting as much. But since he's so damn big, everyone's like, man, this
Big
dude's
and
supposed to
hungry.
mash and rake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we got about a minute 15 for this segment. So I'm going to get 20 seconds from each of you. Cole's going to tee you guys up on what player would you start the decade with for, based on what we know now. So can you just give me your answers now? Bruce, who's going to be yours?
Juan Soto.
Juan Soto, Lynn?
Nats.
Juan Soto's the only right answer.
And Chris.
Wow.
West Coast. I'm going to go
That's
Bellinger.
pressure, Chris.
You're going to go Bellinger.
There you
Okay,
go.
great.
I'll go
No,
Bellinger.
no one going with Bo Bichette?
Tatis could have been. What about a pitcher? I was struggling to find a pitcher. I wanted to get a pitcher just to give it. I guess Flaherty is probably the best, right? I mean, if you had to go pitcher, I don't have time to get into all that. But yeah, Bueller's another. That's right. Yeah, how could I overlook him?
So Cole, we're a little heavy here, so just real quick, introduce the guys. Tee up the subject real quick, and then just go right down the line. We'll go Bruce, Lynn, and Chris. All right, about 20 seconds each, guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Back on the block here on Clubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, and it's a new decade, a new hope. Now, guys, if we could pick any player when it comes to building around for the next decade, Bruce, Len, Chris, who do you think it would be? Bruce, I'll start with you.
Oh, there's only one for me, and it's Juan Soto. And Juan Soto is 20 years old. I'm going to bet a ton of money that he's going to be the best player for the next 10 years in Major League Baseball, barring some type of injury. He is that good. You watch him in the box. He looks like a young Ken Griffey Jr. If he comes close to that, I think that's your player for the next 10 years.
Okay.
Bruce, you're right. I think there's only one good answer here. At age 19 and 20, he has put up an OPS plus of 140. That's 40% better than league average. Soto, as a 20-year-old guy, walked 108 times last year. That's the one part of an offensive game you cannot teach. I think Soto right now is on a Hall of Fame track, and he's only 2 years into his career.
I'll go Cody Bellinger, the Dodgers. He's like an old man compared to Soto, but he's been through it. And he can play, whether it's the outfield, center field, first base, good glove, good athlete. And I like that he's been through a tough spot in a sophomore season and in a World Series spot, made some adjustments without changing all of his mechanics to just, I think, mentally be a little bit tougher, and has handled the pressure and has won all kinds of awards already. He's a guy I'd be glad to build with, and you certainly can't go wrong with Soto. But I'd take Bellinger first. That'd be my first choice.
Yeah, still hard to believe that Cody Bellinger only hit one home run his senior year of high school in Chandler, Arizona. Those are some guys to build around. I was going to go with Bo Bichette myself last year, 46 games, 11 home runs, 311 batting average, but what do I know? I'm just a caveman. But one thing I do know is that our time, well, it has run its course. As Billy Shakes once said, Parting is such sweet sorrow, but the good news is we're going to see you guys tomorrow. So for Bruce, Len, and Chris, I'd like to thank you very much for tuning in to Cubs 360. Coming up next, we have The Stadium with our guy, Michael Kim, the pride of the University of Missouri. Kimmer, take it away. We'll see you next time.
All right, guys. Good job. Thank you for today. So good dress rehearsal for tomorrow. So this is going to be the same team tomorrow. So around all the call times, everything's going to be the same. So, same drill. You guys know it now. I appreciate everything. So thank you for your help today, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Chris, I think we're still working with you for the game show, right?
Right.
Cool.
I'm staying right where I am.
Len,
Thanks,
Cole,
guys.
guys.
Yeah, see you, Len, Bruce.
Good stuff,
seeing you,
guys.
Cole, nice job. It was
Same
fun.
here.
Absolutely. Likewise.
Hey, Malik, do I just stay on this or do I dial in on something
Yeah.
else? Do you know?
No. You're
Stay
good.
here.
This is all the same thing.
Okay.
Stay right
Okay.
there.
Give us a second here. We're going to set up.
Thanks.
Okay. Good job with that today, too. Kevin.
Nice to meet you too.
I can't see him. Can you put him up? Hey, Steger, are you in?
Yeah, I'm in.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
I see. Is that Nick?
Yeah, what's up, Chris? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Good. Can you see me? I got a whiteboard. No?
I can't see
Hey.
anyone.
Can you do a two-shot here, Kevin, so they can talk to each other and talk it through?
Yep, stand by building their thing right now.
Yep, thank
Set
you.
it up. Yep, thank you.
Give us a second, Chris.
Okay.
So, Chris, you have a whiteboard and your timer with the horn or the
Yes.
ticker, the bell.
I
Perfect.
have there you go.
Perfect.
Time's up. I
Yep.
don't know if you're. So here's the whiteboard. Nick and Notch. I guess it's Notch. Is Chris going to be your?
Yep.
Your.
He'll be in.
Okay. I'll just put.
And
All
then,
right, you're going to be at
yeah.
the top. Chris is going to be at the top, right?
Do you want to put numbers on the side of that for innings 1 through 9, like a batting
Yeah,
order?
or I was going to go below it with just total point runs, or however we're going to call it, score,
Okay.
runs, points, whatever.
Yeah, runs.
Hey,
Try to keep
runs.
it with the lane.
One thing
I'll
I
put
would say,
Chris up there.
Kevin,
Yeah.
the boxes can be bigger here. There's too much empty graphic space.
Yeah, I was just saying,
already emailed.
especially on this.
Good.
If we're going to be
Okay.
showing this thing as much box space, let me just see if I
Yeah.
can clear this stuff.
And then,
So-
Chris, for our answer, instead of saying like final answer, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, we'll go with
Right.
Take your swing. Which one are you swinging at?
Yeah, okay. What's your swing? Okay, swing.
Take a swing at which letter, and then I'll say, D is my choice. I'll take a swing at D
Okay.
or whatever it is.
Yeah, take a swing. Final swing.
Yeah, and then off the top, we'll do like basic intros too that we can play with the contestants, just for time purposes, so we can make them longer and shorter when we need to. Just
Okay.
here's how to play the game. Here's our guys. What's your general knowledge? Just like a quick Q&A off
Right.
the top.
Yeah, so I understand the rules. Right now we're going with the innings 4 through 6 are going to be worth 2, or just if you get it right. What's the
Innings
simple
4
way
through
to
6
explain
are
that?
2 points for each one that's right.
Yeah, 3 points. Okay, 3 points. Okay, one for early multiple choice. Okay.
Yeah, one for
So
the
we're
early
showing
ones.
we're showing the questions in post, right, Nick? He's
Right,
going to say
on
them
top of ours.
verbally, but right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
and maybe the score, but I'll be showing the score. Yeah, maybe you guys will if you want it. But I'll
Yeah,
still
I like you with the whiteboard. I like the whiteboard for the score. It's more fun.
Yeah, the whiteboard
maybe
is
just,
good.
It feels less polished. Feels more at home, like a regular trivia that people play.
Who am I? Who is that? NBC. Bill Russell or
Oh.
Russell or Tom?
Oh yeah,
who was
it
it?
used to be Tim Russert. Now it's
Tim Russell.
it's
Tim Russell. Yeah.
yeah, and Karl Rove did it during the election
Yeah.
and screwed things up.
Yeah. Tim.
Way
Very
back.
Tim Russell. I like it.
Yeah, Tim. Yeah, may he and his son Luke Russert, who I think is on
Right.
this broadcast.
And then, Chris, as a reminder, when we do this for real, I'll tell the contestants too to kind of talk through their answers, so it's not just a rush job.
Yeah,
so we'll,
obviously
we'll eliminate the obvious choices. There's Nacho.
Hello. You're in.
Hey, there he is.
Not we're trying to look at your face.
Yeah.
What are we doing, Doc? Look at the camera, my man.
Oh, this is
Are
good.
you advertising sweatshirts? What's going on?
Well, no, what's going on here?
Oh yeah. Hey, Kevin Dusold, Malik.
Yeah, you got me, Mike. Gotcha.
Yeah, I got you. Shouldn't the host be in the middle?
Yeah, we are. He's just.
Yeah.
He's fixing his sources right now.
Okay. You want
It's
Nacho
been
in the
my
middle, yeah?
lifelong dream
No,
to
we
host a game
want, we
show.
want Chris in the middle.
Oh, it really has been after even studying on it. I had a chance to try out for Hollywood Squares, but ESPN wouldn't let me. It was just an audition, but the closest I came. But anyway,
Nice.
it's worth the wait. Well,
Nacho man.
So, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, good to see you.
Good job. Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for your help on all the background stuff with the questions and all that. Appreciate it. And so, let me see. Well, I'll work with when I hold the scoreboard up to make sure.
So how are we deciding order?
I mean, we'll just pick it.
We could. Yeah, I'll just.
You can ask.
So okay.
Chris will go first
Go ahead,
for
Nick.
each inning for this first round. The second block, I'll go first. The third block, we'll alternate based on score or something.
Yeah, you don't want.
Okay, so
you
go.
want to. I was going to say, you want to through the multiple choice. Nick, take a turn. Yeah, you bounce back and forth, and then after that, who's ever behind would go. Well, how would you want
We
to
go
do? Who's
first?
ever ahead should go. Yeah, let's do it that way. Who's ever ahead goes first.
Well,
Yeah.
And I'll make rounds 4 through 6 more multiple choice too.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it'll be a little easier on people at home.
And then 7 through 9 is our listing categories, all the lists. That's when we can have whoever's trailing go first.
Right. Okay. We can adjust points.
So they have a better chance of catching up.
Yeah. Do you want to refer to this as runs or points or?
Yeah, runs.
Runs. Okay,
Runs.
we'll still count it as runs as in baseball terms. And
Yeah.
I'm just asking for on the production standpoint, when you do put the multiple choice, do you have the ability to remove them one at a time if somebody does, or you would just wipe them out and leave the final answer? I mean, I don't know. Somebody's
Not
whittling it down
sure.
to two.
We probably just highlight the correct answer, but we can.
Yeah, there you
we'll
go.
test
That's
that.
yeah. I like that. Highlight the correct, because then they can see what the other ones were if they guessed or if they. Okay, because people at home will be doing that. All right.
All right. So
Nacho, when you come back, make sure you're centered in your shot.
Right.
So
And
for purposes here, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I was just
ask?
asking, in my frame, do I need the direction? Well, it's just like I see the three of us. But I'm that whole side with the where you can write things. It just seems like everybody's really smaller than they have to be. Is there any way I can make it bigger? I guess I can zoom out or something. I just want to see more of the contestants' faces when we do this.
Exactly. So Kevin, so what he's saying is because he's just getting what we're giving to him in return, he actually wants to see them full. So that's something we got to think about. We may not be able to give that to you today, Chris, but we'll work on that. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll
if we
figure
do it
that out.
for real,
Let us
it's just
figure that out.
yeah, to see the faces of the contestant, if they're smiling or laughing, or if I need to jump in or something to move it
Right.
along, it'd be
Yep.
okay. Yeah, if I don't
Okay.
have that now, that's
And
fine. But just it'd be a nice thing to have.
is this little instant message chat room thing on the side, is that for everybody?
Yeah. Do you want me? Let me. So you got me. You looking here? So because I'll dictate the questions once we decide the order, right? So just as a reminder
Yeah, cool.
for Chris. So you got it. So
Yeah, like this time around, Chris is just going to read it from his computer, but in general, he'll have them printed out and like ready.
Okay. Do you okay?
So Chris, let's just do it like this.
Nacho, can you
Let's
set her up?
Yeah.
just pretend like there would have been an animation. You just welcome everybody in. This is a game show, and then introduce your
Right.
contestants. Like, why don't you introduce Nick first, and then we'll take him full, and like we would name him. Then you just
Okay.
make up some. He's from New Mexico. Make up some stuff about him. Give him a good 10 seconds so we
Okay.
can give a name file on him, and then we'll just go full right to the notch. Another 10 seconds from him. New York based stats researcher, one of the best, stuff like that. And then we'll come back out to this shot where we're at now. And then we'll just start with Nick first. And then we'll go to Nick
Right.
first for the first question.
So
and
Chris, right after the introductions, just make sure you explain the game. So this is what we'll do.
Right.
First three
Right.
innings are worth 1 point. We're doing multiple choice. They get harder as we go.
Should
that
I-
kind of thing.
Yeah. Should I do that? Well, unless we have, as I say, I could do that first and then introduce you guys and get right in. But because then you wouldn't be, standing there staring
No,
while I'm running through the rules. But
No, I think you should
you guys
just
wanna meet-
intro. And
Yeah,
then,
I think you
and then
introduce
do
the
that
guys.
because
Introduce the
what
guys.
we would
and then
do-
start.
Because what we would do
Okay.
is after you introduce the contestants, we'd probably put up a full screen graphic while you're doing the rules, and the rules would be like
Okay.
full screen. We wouldn't be seeing you guys.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
You know what? I left my stopwatch. Give me just a second. I think I left that
Okay.
in the other room. Let me
No
grab
worries.
that
No
'cause
problem.
I need that.
Nacho, can you slide to the left?
And we got no audio from Notch.
Yeah, Nacho. I got you up on my end. You might have bumped something when you were moving around. Cole did the same thing twice yesterday.
And we got more of the ceiling fixture than we do his face.
What's up, Kevin?
It was good.
How was everything? How's the family?
Good. Kids are playing in the basement, out of the way for now, so that's good.
Is that feedback coming in from my computer, or is that just in general?
That's just me when I talk through Malik's vMix, essentially. When I mute, you won't hear it.
Okay. Yeah, so we still can't hear Nacho, obviously. And then Malik
Nacho,
will always alternate each question, and then once we get toward the lists from 7th, 8th, and 9th inning is when we can try to steal runs. So like if I miss, and Nacho knows more on the list, he can keep ripping off names for more points.
So what I'm going to do, that's cool. So what I'm going to do is just do a total time so we can get a feel. I think you guys
total
should
time
do
for each block. For each block, right?
Well, I'm just going to – yeah, we can do – either way, we can get it that way, but that's fine. I can do total time for each block.
Just as a gauge so we can see what we need to play with.
I can already tell you we're going to have to figure out ways to tighten it up.
Yeah, for sure. But there's also times when we're expecting something to be 2 or 3 minutes, and they like say this list, for instance. We don't know everyone's level of knowledge yet either, so someone might just be like Chris Bryant, and it's wrong right out the gate, and now we're like, now we're short.
Yeah, and that's
know?
I'm sorry, I got back in. So that's where if who's ever producing, if they say if it's a quick answer, hey, time for a follow-up question, or if you guide me on the segments, the time for each segment, I can speed it up, slow it down, that kind of thing. Once we do it for real.
And like you said yesterday on the phone call, if we answer Javi Baez or whatever, you can ask a question like, what should the Cubs do? Should they try to sign Javi Baez now this offseason? Have like a one-topic conversation, and then, all right, let's get back to the questions. That's another time filler that we can either take out and edit, or at least we have the option.
Yeah, that's actually smart, because if you do that, then it's easily editable out, and it's
right.
So you have something, right? Yep. That's good.
Hey, Chris, can you camera up just a touch for me?
Move it. I'm sorry, up.
Give yourself more headroom.
So more headroom. So move it up that way.
Perfect.
Is that good? Okay.
Make sure we can see Don Corleone clearly.
That's right. It's got a question you can't refuse. All right, we got the bell. Time's up. All right. You got
great.
Ryan, are you on this call here?
What are you using, Notch? Text it to me. Yeah, I know. We're trying to fact out his audio right now.
Okay.
We had your.
So we were Nick. We were thinking 30 seconds.
Yeah. 30 seconds for the mobile part.
Each answer. Okay.
All right, he's on an iPad.
And I'll fake it, Chris, where I'll talk my way through the answers to get it to like 20 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
Riley, you there?
Yeah, so Nick, I'll have two things. The time's up with the answer, and then with the when you answer with the bell if they get it right or something. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me here?
And you can go ahead and show us the whiteboard after like each of us go the first time. You can put the runs down, like 1-0 right now, Chris or whatever. And that way we're establishing the whiteboard throughout, so it's not coming out of nowhere.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
So he's not plugged in. He's only using vMix. So, I mean, we should hear him.
What? Hey, Kevin. Do you hear me on Teams?
I do, yes.
So, okay. So he's got his head.
Too bright, sir.
Now try and talk.
Take your headphones off now.
Take your headphones off and unplug them. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working.
Drop him and call him back in.
Yeah, stand by, Notch. I'm going to send you another thing.
And can you send me one while you're at it? Because I got to kick off to.
Shoot.
But he's on an iPad, right? So he's completely. He's on his Wi-Fi. Can you turn down the return video quality to him?
So, Chris, I just sent a test, instant message to you to see, just as a quick rundown of this first.
Yeah, welcome to the welcome to the show. I see that. Okay, welcome to Play at Home. I'm your host, Chris Myers. A little sports, baseball, and Cubs trivia on the Marquee Sports Network. I'm going to introduce you guys and then explain the game, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Where are you from originally, Nick? I know I asked you. Are you from New York?
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, the unusual, one of the few people. Oh, sorry, my time.
And all the cheaters like Alex Bregman.
You worked at MLB Network, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ESPN.
And ESPN. That's right. We talked about the ESPN days.
back in yet, has he?
He has not.
He says he's in.
He has not dialed the number again.
Okay.
Yeah, and these boxes are just test boxes. Obviously, much bigger.
Yeah. Right, I would hope, because I'm seeing more, play at home in red and blue than I am the faces of the two guys. So if we do it for real, whatever we can do here to show the faces of the contestants. So Nick, right now we're thinking of next Sunday doing another rehearsal, or is that kind of a?
Well, ideally, we'll try to sneak one more in during the week, maybe like on Thursday, and then if that goes well, this next Sunday would be our first real rehearsal.
Okay. All right. Thursday may be a problem. I'll let you know. It may have to be.
Or just send me an email with what days next week work for you, and we'll try to work it out.
Okay. Yeah, Saturday might be.
I want to try it where I'm actually producing it, and we have contestants that are semi-real.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think
I'll
Saturday
see if we
might
can
be
get
better.
Taylor. I'll see if we can get Taylor for one of those too, since we'll probably bring her in for on the emails, like the 7th inning fan question type situation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So are they taping that, or no? That's gonna be a live.
No, we'll probably, we'll have to figure that out if she either comes in for the taping and asks the question, or once we know the questions, I'll have you ask them, and then she just reads it on a pre-recorded thing, and we add that in an edit. So you would ask the actual thing, we would just get rid of that and add her asking the question. But the guys would still answer it during the taping.
Okay.
And the show might be sponsored by then too, so it's another, it's all stuff we got to work out.
Good. Yeah, somebody wants to sponsor sponsor the middle innings or the walk off or whatever. That's a good idea. Or sponsor the name of Play at Home.
Yeah.
What will we have? And I know you're not obviously at the moment, can't be producing. So whoever's helping out, that's Malik. Is he helping? Is he timing each segment so I kind of know, or will he be saying speed it up? Oh yes. Okay. You're still okay.
I'll help you there. No worries.
Okay.
Use the same traffic. Same traffic that we did for the other show.
Yeah, that seemed to work well. Thanks. Yeah, since we're trying this out.
Can you hear him now, Kevin? No.
Riley, same issues. Try talking to him. He'll be able to hear you. If you talk to him, he'll be able to hear you.
Notch will just have to use sign language.
Hey, how you doing? Silly question. Can you just make sure your cable's tied into the button you're using an iPad?
And Chris, one thing we might do for bump purposes to go to break, we might just do random trivia questions going to break that aren't part of the game, but that are answered.
Okay. So maybe I'll just that's a good idea. Even if you have them ahead of time, and if not, I can just say as we continue. Here's one for you at home.
We can definitely work in some more entertainment stuff, like you brought up, movies, actors, music. We can do some of those trivia as we go.
Good
for the fan.
Paula, who threw out the first ceremonial pitch. You could do a few of those to get.
And so then when we would come back from the next segment, you would answer that. We would show the question one more time that we went to break with. You would answer it, and then you'd be like, "All right, let's get back to the game." It's just an extra fun fan element for the people at home.
I realized Mike Santini had sent that he did Baseball IQ, something on MLB Network. It's kind of cool. Sorry.
Yeah, Malik, did you do that too? Because I know a lot of us worked on that in some form.
Yeah, did you work on that, Nick?
I had a hand in it. Yeah, I wasn't a primary producer on it.
Cool.
Malik, were
What
you on
show?
that? Baseball IQ?
What show? No.
You were still there, though,
No,
right?
the first one. Yeah, I was. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I didn't do that.
All right, Notch is trying on his cell phone now. I told him to close his iPad.
Love it.
Call in on his cell phone. At least we'll be able to hear him.
When I had problems with my iPad too when I tried this before, and iPhone worked better. But
what are you on now? Your phone?
yeah, I'm on my iPhone only because it has the best camera of the iPad and even the home desk computer. They're a few years older. This is a new iPhone, so it's got the great camera that. I wish I had a bigger screen, but
also a great camera, and also it has probably more hard drive and more bandwidth on that phone than your laptop does.
Yes, absolutely, certainly more than the iPad. Yep.
Yeah, so it's funny how that works.
I know, the smallest little, but at least if you guys are putting in the stuff pre-post or post,
Right.
Then I don't need to see all that. But I do, seeing the faces and things like that are important. And it's nice having that. That's pretty cool to have. I didn't know we would have that little sidebar where you can write notes and say quick or 30 seconds. That's very helpful.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Since
good.
I don't have, an IFB or earpiece.
Yeah, and during the show, I would probably send you a message to bring in Notch here for confirmation or whatever to add that research element to it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So that seventh inning, that's just one time they're going to do the tape thing, or they're not doing for every question, are they? We're just throwing in a few
it's just
right?
It's just the seventh inning stretch is what we'll call it.
Okay, but just as far as getting the taped question thing, it seems cluttered if we try to do that for every question. I think help to break it up a couple in there. But
yep.
I don't know. It depends on who's doing it or what those are. But again, I'm glad we'll try to more multiple choice, middle, and save. I like some of these other ones for the end because I hope as I'm writing the question, I hope you guys have more questions because these are good. I just hope we don't run out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we can broaden them always from Cubs to baseball, that somehow, I guess, but I know we want to start out Cubs.
Or like we talked about, we can start incorporating Bill Murray, what was the last movie he worked on, famous Cub fans. We'll be able to expand this in a fun way.
That's good. Yep.
Broadcasters.
Talk about audio now.
Yeah, it's good. Broadcasters,
Oh,
right?
now we're here, Matt.
Kerry Perry and Brickhouse.
You guys got me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now we're
there
here.
He is.
Beautiful.
Macho Man.
Sorry about the delay.
Is he in one of the boxes? I always see Nick and I in an empty box.
I can see you two guys.
No, he's gonna put him in. Give us. There you go.
There he is.
There he is.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Sorry to hold you guys up.
No. Sorry, this is home technology.
Yeah.
10 push-ups, Nacho.
I'll break them out right after this.
What are you drinking, Chris? You got water, tea? What do you got?
Nice. Yeah, I'm a big iced tea guy. Looks like bourbon. People always think of, but
Likewise.
Less sugar, enough caffeine. What time is it anyway?
12:42 your time in California. 12:42.
Okay. All right.
All right, Chris. Nacho, you ready?
Yes.
Half-hour show, right? Okay. I should move this more.
All right, I'm good. I'm rolling. I'm streaming.
You guys are good?
Sorry. Is that all right?
Everybody looking good, Kevin?
Yeah, Chris, your lamp's kind of in your way. The green shade.
Do you want me to this way or go the other way? Sorry.
That's perfect where we are right now.
Is that good there? Okay.
I'm all good. Malik, you there?
Okay. You good, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm only seeing myself right now. Is that what I should see?
Yep. So
Okay.
I'll count you in. I'll give you a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you can read your little copy there. Welcome into the show. Once you get through that, then that's when we'll bring in the 3 guys, and then we'll do those singles as you introduce each guy, and then we'll come back out off of the second single after you introduce Notch, and you'll set up the game. That would be over a full screen, which we would put in post. Off after you set up the game, we're just off and running. You're going to go to Nick first.
Okay.
Here we go.
And Nacho, just remember to talk through your answers. So eliminate the obvious choice first, that kind of thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, give us a little reason why or why not, a little theory on why you're guessing. All right.
Sure. No problem.
Here we go, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome to Play at Home. It's Marquee Sports Network's newest and latest Cubs baseball sports trivia show with 2 contestants. We go 9 innings. We have a walk-off. You can score runs. You can rally. It should be a lot of fun. I'm your host, Chris Myers. We'll go through the rules and everything in just a moment. Let's welcome our 2 contestants here, and we will decide on an ultimate winner all the way from New Mexico. We did time in Bristol, Connecticut at the Broadcast Correctional Facility there. Nick Steger is here, former MLB Network volunteer as well, and now a great employee who lives on the East Coast. And he'll be competing against one of the great researchers of all time. And I know this because he tells me that every time I call him and ask for information. He's the researcher's researcher. They call him Notch. I still don't know how to pronounce his last name. I've known him for years. Chris Antonaccio or whatever. Same to you, buddy. Good luck. All right, so real quick, the rules here are like a 9-inning game. First 3 innings, we're going to have multiple choice to help the guys along the way. And then the questions get a little tougher, innings of 4 through 6, but they're worth 3 points, 3 runs instead of 1 run. And then later, the 7th inning stretch, you have to be a little bit more specific. The questions are tougher, and the runs can slide. So you can maybe go for a grand slam, a 2-run double, something to rally if you're behind in the game of Play at Home. When you hear the bell, you get 30 seconds to answer. So when you hear that, you got to come up with the answer on these multiple choice. And also, if you get it right, you get the bell. And I'll be keeping score because it's the home version here on my whiteboard, which I'll try and make sure we'll add a run each time you guys get it right. And we'll bounce back. Are you guys ready to go? Chris, Nick, you okay? You ready to have some fun here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, Nick looks a little focused. Nick looks a little focused and worried because he's going against a researcher, so it's almost not fair. But let's try. All right, question number 1, Nick. This is for you, and I'll start the clock once I finish the question of multiple choice. So, who was the last Cubs outfielder to hit 3 home runs in a game? Last Cub outfielder to hit 3 home runs in a game. Is it A, Sammy Sosa? Is it B, Kyle Schwarber? C, Alfonso Soriano? Or D, Mike Ditka? And now you're on the clock. What do you think?
Ooh.
We always throw in a fun one for you.
Yeah, it's definitely not D because I don't remember Mike Ditka, legendary football player and coach, hitting 3 homers at Wrigley. So I'll eliminate that choice. The other 3 are all very possible. I don't think Kyle Schwarber ever hit 3 homers at Wrigley. He might have done it on the road, though, but I'm not sure. I don't think it was at Wrigley. So it comes down to Sammy and Soriano.
All right, so now time is up, Nick. Now it isn't necessarily at Wrigley Field. It's just the Cubs outfielder hit 3 home runs in a game. He was the last one to do it. So
I'm gonna go with slamming Sammy Sosa because he hit 63 different seasons. So I'm just gonna take my chance.
You know, that's a good guess, and I would hit a buzzer if I could, but it's not correct, which is why we asked. These are supposed to be easier. It was Alfonso Soriano in 2008 in September against the Cincinnati Reds. So you remain scoreless here in the early innings, and already Notch is smiling, which is very annoying, I know, but that's the kind of competitor he is. Okay, so this is for you. I'm going to go. Who has the most hits all time by a Cubs outfielder? Most hits all-time Cubs outfielder. Is it A, Sammy Sosa? Is it B, Will Perdue? Is it C, Andre Dawson? Or is it D, Billy Williams? What do you think?
Well,
most hits all
we
time.
Can eliminate. Yeah, we can eliminate Will Perdue, though I hope we spell his name correctly on the font. It's not Purdue.
We always
P-E-R. Sammy Sosa, more of a home run hitter than an absolute contact guy. Andre Dawson didn't have the length of service for the Cubs. I'm inclined to go D, Billy Williams.
And that is correct, and you did it the correct under the 30 seconds. And we do throw in one of the four multiple choice are always a fun one, just to give everybody at home guessing along and yourselves an opportunity to narrow it to three. But yes, Billy Williams, not you probably know that he had 2,510 hits with the Cubs, third in franchise history behind Cap Anson and Ernie Banks, most hits all time by a Cubs outfielder. All right, so we'll go. So now you're on the board. So Chris leads by a run early here as we go to the second inning. And Nick, this is for you. 4 Cub players were tied for the team lead with 3 home runs in that 2016 postseason. Which Cubs hitter had fewer than 3 homers during that postseason of 2016? Was it A, Javi Baez, B, Chris Bryant, C, Anthony Rizzo, or D, Dexter Fowler?
Oh, good question. Dexter Fowler definitely hit 3 homers. That's kind of the sneaky one. He led off Game 7, too, with his third. Rizzo, I believe, hit 3 as well. Shockingly enough, I'm going to go with A, Javi Baez. He had a great postseason run, was NLCS MVP, but I don't think he circled the pillows 3 times.
Yeah, well, that's correct. And right under the time frame, Javi Baez, he only hit 2, and even Addison Russell hit 3, if you go back. So that was a nice breakdown. You certainly know your Cubs postseason baseball. So we have a 1-1 game as we go back to Christian Notch here with a chance. Which one of these Cub pitchers, okay, this is your question. Let me reset the the timer. I have to do everything myself, and I hit the bell. So okay, so which one of these Cub pitchers did not record a win in the postseason in 2016? So they did not record a win. Is it A, Aroldis Chapman, B, John Lester, C, Kyle Hendricks, or D, John Lackey?
Well, I'll point out to Nick real quick that Javier Baez was a co-MVP of the NLCS with John Lester, who's one of the choices, and he did obviously get a win. And then Kyle Hendricks obviously won Game 7 of the NLCS. Aroldis Chapman is a sneaky one, but I'm going to guess he won Game 4 of the NLDS. John Lackey, 3 starts that postseason, 0 victories.
Yes, okay, you're correct. All right, he's showing off now, which is not only is he getting runs here, he's correcting some of the stats, which is why we have you on the show. All right, so now that's a 2-run advantage, a 2-1 run advantage as we go to the third inning. So we'll bounce back to Nick. Which one of these Cubs, Nick? Which one of these position players for the Cubs started on opening day in 2019? A, Kyle Schwarber, B, Ian Happ, C, David Bodie, D, Ernie Banks. Which one of these Cub position players started on opening day in 2019?
If it was Ernie Banks, that would be unbelievable and something that we must relive again. But
yeah, he's that good.
I know Ian Happ started in the minor leagues. Ian Happ started in the minor leagues in 2019. I'm just going to go with David Bodie. I know that he was talking about playing third and second, but since Chris Bryant was healthy, I'll go David Bodie.
Very good. Yeah, that is correct. And right out of the box, so you tie the game. So let's come back to Notch really quick. Which American League team played against the Cubs on opening day in 2019? Which AL team? Rangers, White Sox, Yankees, Bulls. A, B, C, or D? What do you think?
Gosh, Jerry Reinsdorf must have been really upset this day with the White Sox and Bulls possibly as choices, but I'm going to eliminate them. I know the Cubs have a penchant for opening on the road to start the season, so I'm going to eliminate the Yankees with 2 cold weather environments. I'm going to go with A, the Texas Rangers, knowing that Javier Baez homered twice on opening day of that game.
That is correct. He adds the facts. You don't get any bonus points for throwing in some other stats, but nice try. So at the end of 3 innings in the first segment, Notch leads by a 3-2. Yes, there you go. It's a 3-2 score. Nick is 1 run down, and we'll continue on Play at Home with our contestants. The questions get a little tougher here, but you can also get more runs per inning when we continue. Nice to have you watching. All right, something like that. Okay. I'm going to make sure my
How long?
All right, so
Malik, how long was that?
So, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It was about 8:25. So what we learned there, and I think just for real purposes, the first inning should be the first 3 innings should be the fastest, right? I mean, Chris is going to set up the show. He's going to introduce guys. He's doing all that. I mean, guys, once they know the easy answers, they should just answer them, and we'll get going and go. So, yeah. Because
How long
that was 8.5.
Yeah, what would you?
So we're working
like
with
that
20
segment to be?
About 6 minutes, 5.5 to 6.
Okay.
6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could, Nick, we could, and Malik too. We could go 20 seconds on you, but that's for a multiple choice. I mean, you guys were stretching a little, you were adding things.
Yeah.
I don't think most guys will. So, and we could move that along. I like that I didn't need a filler question, but 8 minutes, I could have sped some things up myself. I was going a little more slow and setting things up. So I like the 30 seconds per answer if you guys do.
Right.
And I agree. We can speed it up, and we can also, we'll see. I think these are going to be a little tougher, although we're getting more multiple choice. Yeah. And
we also we don't really know, like we talked about before, the list categories could be a lot quicker than we think if people miss early.
Yeah,
that's
we
don't want to be hung out to dry.
Right, and that's where.
But it's also too, that category could also take a long time as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is why we edited it down.
Nothing you can do about that. So all good.
Right.
Let's keep going. I mean, let's keep going and see how this times out. So that's why we rehearse.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it. Okay, so I'll try to move it along. All right, so start the B block. Okay.
So Chris, in reality, you would be showing the answer to a trivia we sent going to break.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, which you could always eliminate those if you needed time or something. I mean, that's
exactly.
But my thought was, and you guys tell me, and Malik, I know you're producing, but you're listening. As someone in it, I wasn't bored at all. I thought it was a fast 8 minutes. I mean, it didn't feel like it was dragging at all. Yeah, and I thought the guys were, their answers. So yeah, I mean,
it was good. You have to think it's going to be dressed up. There's going to be a little music going on. It felt really good right now, just A-rolled with nothing. Right. So it'll definitely feel a lot better in post. So you're right. It wasn't long at all. It wasn't long at all.
It didn't feel like 8 minutes. It wasn't sluggish or slow. So I'm concerned about this segment, but let's see how it goes with that. Because it's just a little more. Oh, sorry, did I screw this up? Okay, hang on a second. A, B, C. Go to break. Okay. Sorry. All right, so we're coming back.
Come back in on the single. Introduce yourself. Introduce the game real quick. Then we'll come back out to the 3-shot. But we should get a score recap really quickly too before you get on to the next question.
Okay. All right.
Bring out the whiteboard.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Okay. Well, how do you want to do that, Chris? Do you want to go? Hey, I'm Chris Myers. You're watching trivia. We're back. Our score is right now Nick and Chris. Or do you want to introduce and then do the score?
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. And then out of it, you'll see Chris and Nick, and then we'll just pick it up and go. But that's fine. I'll keep that. I can keep. And this is another area where if we were doing this, you could say be quicker here or stretch here, and I can go faster or longer. I can do this in 15 or whatever. So, and I'm just going to again explain real quick that here there are 3 runs each. We put points. We'll just say runs, three runs each, and you can steal some if your opponent misses. So right, Nick. That's how we're doing this.
What we might do for this is maybe we make the 4th and 5th for the next time multiple choice. That way there's more multiple choice in there for fans at home. Yeah. And then the 6th inning question, maybe the 6th inning question is no multiple choice. That's one where you can steal.
Right. I like that. And that also, because the multiple choice gives us flexibility again too for timing to speed up or slow down too. I can always repeat them, slow them down before I start the timer. But we'll go with this for now.
Yeah.
Now on this though, I'm thinking since you're down 3-2 and Notch is annoyingly knowledgeable, why don't the person who's trailing
cheating
would get oh, you're still there. I didn't know you could hear me. No, I'm kidding. So
I'm cheating too.
I kid because I care. He's probably got his books open, his computer. No, you don't need that. So should the person trailing? You guys all tell me. Should the person trailing as we start?
I agree.
Whether we go first or not, right?
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right, let's try that.
And in a tied scenario, I would suggest the person who went second leads off this one, if it was tied.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay. All
All right, so
we
here
got
we
ready
go.
whenever.
Okay, cool. On the single, here we go. Kevin, you good with all that traffic?
All good.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back. You're watching Marquee Sports Network and our inaugural baseball, sports, and Cubs trivia show from our home to your home. It's Play at Home. And right now, after 3 innings, in the middle innings, we have a little bit of an adjustment. But let me just give you a score update. If you're watching our 2 contestants, Chris Notch leads 3-2 over Nick, who will have first option as we begin. And these are worth 3 runs each, so you can really rally. I mean, this is like 2 on and hitting 1 out. But no multiple choice this time. So, Nick, on the clock, you'll have a chance to answer. And then if you miss it, well, then your opponent will get a chance to guess and can certainly add to his score total. So here we go. And we have, again, Nick Stegas is with us, and Chris, as we call him, Notch. All right, so here we go. 4th inning here. Baseball Hall of Fame. Nick, how many Baseball Hall of Famers only played for the Cubs? No other franchise. In the modern era, that's going back to 1900. So they only played for the Cubs. Can you name them? Go ahead.
My gut wants to say 1, just because I know Ernie Banks, but for some reason I think Ron Santo might have also. And I can't really think of anyone else. I know Sandberg played different teams. Same Lee Smith. I'll go with 2. I'll say 2. Ron Santo and Ernie Banks.
Okay. Okay, so is the answer, and I'm a little confused around the way this is written. Is it 4? Jenkins, Sandberg, Santo, Lee Smith, but Ernie Banks is the only one?
That's the next question.
Oh, I went into the next one. It's only Ernie Banks then, right?
Only Ernie Banks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I printed this, it printed out. Okay. So all right.
No
so
problem.
I would say in that case, right? No bell. Right. You got.
I was
one
wrong.
right, one wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wrong.
That's why again, it's a little. We have to keep these simple. So so you're neutral. You don't lose a run, but you don't add a run. But then we would give Notch a chance to guess, right? And so, Notch, what would your, how would we do that? That would be different since I would just say, yeah.
Well,
you would just say, I would say my answer is 2. You would say that's wrong. Chris, do you know the answer?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and then
there you go. I'll just say, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Notch.
And then I would
give
say
it away
only
then,
one. Yeah, I would say only one, Ernie Banks, because Ron Santos spent a year with the White Sox and Ryan Sandberg spent a year with the Phillies.
Okay, good, right. And then we also have, there were others, Lee Smith and Fergie Jenkins, that's going into the next question, right, is what we're doing.
That's
okay, sorry, so I got that.
Let's just start the segment over again for time purposes.
Yeah.
Let's just start it over one more time. That way we can get a better feel.
Okay, that's fine. Just very, very important. That was a good tip that Nick gave you there, Chris, because after he answers and he's wrong, no, that's fine. Yeah. Don't give the answer away, but you have to ask Chris the question because otherwise he's just going to sit there and not talk. You know what I mean? Like because we're doing this remotely, you have to like really let him know, hey, this is now your turn to talk. Yeah, you got to prompt him.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah, this is a little more, and we just the questions sometimes we have to keep them as simple as we can, especially with that multiple choice. All right, because even I was having trouble, but I ran those questions together. All right, try from the top.
Hold on a second here. I'm just doing something with the timing.
Okay.
We'll make it easier, Chris, too, in the emails to read them. Like I'll make the answers in red or bolder or whatever. That way it stands out.
Yeah, just section each. Yeah, you did section the innings, but the questions, and that's why I like your idea going multiple choice through the first 5 innings. 6 is a tougher one, and then we've got our 7th inning stretch. Okay, because simpler is better. I mean,
maybe we make these middle innings like a speed round per se.
Yeah,
if it is
based
like
on
that.
Timing, you're right. It could be rapid. I could say, or you're right. I could say, hey, you only have 20 seconds to answer this time with the multiple. That's actually a good idea. 30.
Right, just to break up the show. So we're in our middle innings. We call this a speed round, and then let's go. And then you're kind of bouncing back and forth because we know, in theory, if people are going to do well on the next segment, it's going to be a little longer. So that just kind of makes sense to do something like that.
Yeah, sometimes too, I think the people playing might want to hear, and we have to give them that option of hearing the question again. I mean, sometimes if they're not without multiple choice, of course, they're not seeing that. That was another advantage. You could see those choices. So, but I mean, if somebody's saying it the first time, sometimes you're thinking, then you go, well, can I hear that again on what year? Like Nick thought maybe you had to hit him at Wrigley Field. You have to clarify.
Right.
Well, no, it was just in the last cup. So I think I know if I was playing, I'd want sometimes to say, hey, can you wrote the questions, Chris and Nick, we've seen them. So, but I think first time hearing questions, some of these people are going to say, hey, I need to hear that again. Just like they have the option on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Understood.
But anyway, we'll try it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. Kevin, same traffic there for the intro. That worked well, Chris. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we welcome you back. Play at home on the Marquee Sports Network. From our home to your home, a little sports, Cubs baseball trivia, and our contestants. So far, it's a close battle going as we head to the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. You can pick up more runs here and rally, and it's a little bit of a quicker pace. It's not multiple choice. Just to update you on the score, I wrote down ahead of time, but it's a 3-2 lead. Try to get that right with lighting. By the 3-2 lead, Chris leads Nick as we welcome back Nick Stega, and Chris, we call him Notch. All right, so because you're down by a run, Nick, we'll start with you. And again, how many, these are not multiple choice, and if you miss, he gets the option, your competitor, to guess. How many Baseball Hall of Famers only played for the Cubs and no other franchise in the modern era? So that's 1900. And you're on the clock. So they only played for the Cubs. What do you think, Nick?
Gut says 1 and Ernie Banks, but I don't remember Ron Santo playing for another team, so I know Sandberg did. I'll say 2. Ron Santo and Ernie
2.
Banks.
Okay, that is not correct. So Chris, you have a chance to answer and pick up some runs here. What do you think?
He was really close, but it is indeed 1 Ernie Banks. Ron Santo concluded his career playing for the White Sox.
All right. Okay, so Notch goes up a 4-2 lead. So let's go back to Nick on this. Nick, since 1990, how many Hall of Fame inductees have Cub hats on their plaques in Cooperstown? So since 90 now, how many Cubs going into the Hall of Fame? Can you name the number or the players?
This would actually be Chris's question because he stole that run, and then he would get the next question. But I'll answer this anyway.
Okay. I was going to say
we still alternate until we get to the other innings.
Okay. I thought the guy could still go there. Okay.
But that we can also tweak it that way. We can talk about that.
I kind of like it. I kind of like it that way because if these are worth 3 runs, then he's up. Instead of 4-2, he's up 7 right? Maybe these shouldn't be worth more. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. You could do it either way, or we could obviously script for like Nick question, Chris question, so that way it's really clear regardless on the script.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I like the guy trailing with a chance to catch up, but I don't think I like that it's worth 3 runs. I know we put points. If we're going runs, I think they ought to still just be worth 1. You can still make up stuff in the 7th inning stretch. Maybe these should still just be worth 1 run. A bit easier to keep track of and easier for people at home to follow. I don't know.
No, go ahead, Chris.
If you steal it, maybe you only get 1 point, and if you do get it on your turn, you get 3 as a suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good one. But the pace of that question, that was really good. Like that worked really well. He stole it, and then you were ready to go back to Nick. So the pacing of that was perfect. Like we would have made up really good time there. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with that's good, Malik. Then let's go with the guy who's trailing. He gets to go first. And if you get it, let's keep it simple. If you get it on the first try, you get 2 runs. If you get it on the second, because you get 1 run. All right, that keeps it simple. You want to try that?
That works.
Okay.
Sure.
And Chris Myers, I will in the messenger. I'll be keeping track of score too when I'm producing, so that'll help you out, so you don't have to do the math in your head.
Okay.
I'll write it in the column like Chris is up 5-2 now, like that kind of thing, and then by the end of the block, it'll help you.
You'll know
just as a quick guide.
Okay. So you want to do that? Let's start that from the top again, and we'll do that with the 2 runs and the thing. Is that all right, Malik? And I'll try to guide it, and I'll bounce it and make it move.
Yep.
All right.
No, that was good. That was going in a good place. So all good.
All right.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we welcome you back to Play at Home, from our home to your home. Hope you're enjoying a little sports, baseball, Cubs trivia on Marquee Sports Network. And right now, as we head into the middle innings here, the game will change a little from our earlier multiple choice. You see that Chris has a 1-run lead over Nick as we welcome them both back. Nick Steger and Chris, we call him Notch. As we head to this time in the 4th inning, no multiple choice. You get 2 runs if you answer it right away. If not, your competitor, he gets to follow your missed answer, and he can pick up a run. So we go to the person trailing at the moment, and so that would be you, Nick. And how many Baseball Hall of Famers only played for the Cubs and no other franchise in the modern era, which goes back to 1900? How many, and can you name them? Only played for the Cubs, and again, you're on the clock.
My gut wants to say 1 for Ernie Banks, but I don't remember Ron Santo playing on another franchise. I know Sandberg did for a year. Lee Smith as well. Yeah,
So
I'll go with 2. Ron Santo and Ernie Banks.
Right. Is that your final swing? You're saying 2?
That's my final swing. Swinging for the fences with 2.
All right, sorry, that is incorrect. So that means Notch gets to follow up and pick up a run here if he can get it right. Do you have a guess here?
Well, unlike Carlos Beltran, at least you picked your bat off the shoulder. The answer is 1, Ernie Banks. Ron Santo spent a year with the White Sox to conclude his career.
All right, so you will pick up, that's correct, another run. It could have been worse. It's a 4-2 lead, so we stay with Nick on the next one. And Nick, since 1990, you're trailing here 4-2, by the way. How many Hall of Fame inductees have Cub hats on their plaques in Cooperstown? So since 90, how many went in as Cubs? And if you can name them, that would be terrific.
Ooh. Ryan Sandberg, Lee Smith, Fergie Jenkins, I believe, and Santo was one of the guys voted in by the committee. So I'll go with 4.
4 is your final swing, and that is correct. All 4. And you pick up a couple of runs there.
Coming for you, Notch.
We should have given you a run per player on that. So now we have a 4-4
He just needs
game.
it.
So since it's tied, we'll go. We're going to start with Notch first, since he has been leading, and now we have a tie game here. 5th inning. We're into the 5th inning. What number? These are numbers. You watch your players' jerseys. What number does Anthony Rizzo currently wear with the Chicago Cubs? Notch, what do you think?
Number 44, of course.
And that is correct. So we have an easy one as you pick up. That's a 2-run lead there. So now we'll go back to Nick. And what number did Mark Grace? Notice how Nick gets the tougher ones. What number did Mark Grace primarily wear as a member of the Cubs? Do you recall?
Yes, 17.
Of Mark Grace. 17.
Loved him as a player.
That's
17 right. For sure.
Yep, and that is correct. So you pick up and tie him, and that was fun. If I was stretching here, you honored Keith Hernandez. Remembered Mark Grace, a great personality that you could see on the Marquee Network, and he'll entertain you always. Okay, so let's go back to Nick on this one. Name the prospect who was traded to the Mariners for Mike.
This is the 7th inning, right?
So
this is the next inning, right?
6th inning.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Yep, that's right.
What's the question? Sorry.
Mike. Yeah, that's okay. Name the prospect traded to the Mariners for Mike Montgomery in 2016. He went on to hit 30 home runs for Seattle in 2019. He was a prospect back then. Do you remember? Can you guess?
I would have had no chance of remembering this question until you added the note on the 30 home runs for the Mariners. That was a big key. He was an all-star. It's Dan Vogelback for all you Cub fans.
Wow, that is terrific. Yeah, that was a tough one. I don't even think Notch could have got that one right. But for the first time today, Nick leads with a 2-run advantage, and he's up now 8-6. So, Notch, we're going to go back to you. Name one of the 3 pitchers the Cubs traded to the Marlins for Juan Pierre back in 2004. All you have to do is name. Well, for you, you know what? You name 2 of the 3. All right, we're going to make it. No, all you got to do is name 1. What do you think?
For a 1-year rental of Juan Pierre, the Cubs sent Ricky Nolasco, Sergio Mitre, and Rainiel Pinto to South Florida.
Okay, all right. Now he's showing off. All right, so we're back into a tie game, and it says take a break to go to the seventh inning stretch, or would I break here? I'm sorry, I should.
You would go to break.
We're through six.
You get a break.
Okay, we're through six. All right, we're through 6 innings, and we are tied at is it 8 runs? I got to look at the board, but anyway,
Yeah.
I believe it's 8 runs each, and we'll continue. The questions will get tougher. At least the competition is tight. And as we go to break, you'll see another fun trivia question for you at home. Thanks for playing along, and appreciate your attention. Whatever, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, so like that. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
All right.
So the question we have to figure out there is, when someone steals, do you just move on to the next inning?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I didn't think about it. Yeah.
When not stole your fourth inning, why are you doing the bottom? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why why don't we just do this? Well, I mean, because the timing and we're trying. I think let's go multiple choice all the way through 6 innings. 7th inning stretch,
Okay.
you have a little fun with a question answer, and then however you want to do the final, the walk off or whatever, because we want to keep it moving and have fun. And I think simplicity is important here. We're already getting bogged down. I mean, I know that's why we're doing this, but that would be my thought, and then determine, and all of whether it's Nick or Chris or Malik, let's determine how you'd want to play. Maybe at the 7th, 8th, and 9th, each is a different one. They're not multiple choice, but one is a numbers thing, one is a history thing, and then something else. But they're not multiple choice kind of thing. I mean, is that
right? That's why the seventh through 9th innings are all list questions where Chris and I alternate until one of us gets stumped.
Yeah. See that? Yeah. I'm worried about just timing and that getting a little not confusing, but maybe
right now
rail.
we're about 15 minutes. So
15?
in theory, right now we have 14. So in theory, right now we have about 8 minutes left of the show, and we have 2 more segments to do.
The last segment is just the one walk-off question for the winner. So that's really only a 2-minute segment max.
2 minute thing. Yeah.
So
But we haven't had by the way, we haven't had to fill with any questions and chatter.
Right. You haven't had that. And then also, too, we're talking about bringing in Taylor here.
Yeah. I mean, that to me, no offense to anybody doing that, but I don't think you need, unless you want a celebrity or a person from the network to have a taped question. I would do that, but I wouldn't clutter things. I think we're already trying to jam too much in, and it's going to take away from the simplicity and the ease of somebody flipping it on and watching. Hey, multiple choice. I know that. He knows that. That's a funny one. And now it's close. And at the end, these are tougher questions. So I'm just thinking out loud, and Notch, help me out too here. What's simple? If we did the 7th was a numbers. I don't want to have an endless thing. Either you guess it. I like the idea of somebody can guess it and get a run. 2 runs and the other guy doesn't, so we could do it, and it doesn't have to hold ourselves, but one can be numbers, one can be history, and then one can be something else that are simple, a list thing or something. I don't know, because, like, for example, when he named all 4, or you named all 3 pitchers, he named all 4 of the Cub Hall of Famers since '90. You should get more from that. You could, that's a chance to get. I could say you can get if however many you get right, you get 4 runs. If you get all 4, But then it gets, again, we're cluttering it. So I'm trying to think of a way to make the show move to the end where it's competitive and we have control of time and then at the end.
Well, that's with the list questions coming up. That's where we can separate scores, because if I only get 1 and then I miss, and Chris can keep naming more guys, he can keep getting a run for each one of the guys on the list.
Okay,
and then
that's how. Okay,
that's how we can kind of separate ourselves score-wise. But then also we can put a clock on this, just a specific clock. So here, we're going to list our guys now. The question is, name Cub players that have hit whatever it is, 40 home runs or whatever in a season. There's 15 guys.
That's a good idea.
Right. You get 2 minutes. Clock starts now for this, and then that way it's no matter what, it's just 2 minutes.
I like that. I could say that's a way somebody can make. That's a little bit of what Malik was saying, like a speed round. I could say, okay, you got 30 seconds. Name Cubs that have won 20 games, however many you name. That's how many runs you'll get, and you can make up. You rattle them off. And that way the time is. So that's a good. That should be like 1 inning. That could be the 8th inning. Again, I don't because again, as for a viewer, watching. They're enjoying the multiple choice through the first 6. These other ones still have to be simple. Okay, by simplicity, you guess. If it's wrong, he guesses. If not, we're on to the next question. I mean, you might have one where nobody gets it. So that could be one. And then I like your idea of naming a number on the clock. That's cool. And then what's another one that we want to do? Is there any other thoughts?
Maybe it's only 7th and 8th are the list questions, and the 9th maybe is the walk off. So the 9th is the 9th instead of having a walk off. You know what I'm saying?
You can certainly do it that way.
Simple.
For sure.
Just make it. Instead of having a walk off as the your quote unquote final Jeopardy, just make that the 9th inning.
Yeah.
I like that. The 9th inning. Yeah, and if you're tied, if for some reason there is a tie, we can create a one question answer for a walk off or something. When we have a 9th inning drama. Yeah.
The C block would just be the 7th and 8th inning. Then that works.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah.
And again, as we do this, when we do our next rehearsal, if we have those multiple choices all the way through the first 6 innings, then we'll get a good time thing of if and again, Malik or who's ever producing, if it's new, Nick, you can say, hey, speed it up, slow it down. I can really use that as hey, because they only have 30 seconds, but I can take a minute to ask the question or longer. I can repeat the multiple choice answers, whatever. If you need me to slow it down, if you need me to speed it up, I can move along. So I like that. I think that's a good idea. At the end, we have the 9th inning has its own drama, and if it's still tied, we'll come up with some little thing to flip at the end. But between the bell and the timer on the whiteboard, I think it's kind of fun. It's kind of moving, And again, I think the simple, and I know, Notch, it's hard with some of these, but the simpler the way the question can be worded. If there's too many, before 1900 or 18, whatever. Again, I know it's a challenge. But whatever the simpler that could be, I think the easier it is for us to understand and the viewer.
We'll work on them.
Yeah. This is at the end of a very long day.
No, I know. We're all a long day of being. I know under house arrest, so I feel for you.
Yeah.
But this is fun. This is kind of what, right? I mean, are you guys feeling this? I kind of like it. I think it's more interesting.
I think.
The guy. Yeah, good.
Yeah, no, there's a lot here. There's a lot here, and it hasn't even been posted yet. This is going to work out well. So it's good that everybody's talking it out, fleshing out the best way for it. So definitely something here, though.
If we are light, I could have like the quote unquote super hard teasers, and we can just do them in post. You can just read them to break and coming out, and then just pick it up naturally. Right. So, that will give us timing flexibility for light.
And I do, and I like Notch too. If you put in parentheses for me, and I know Nick could write stuff or who's producing, but if I need it as a filler material, like he wore that number to honor Hernandez, or if I'm in a hurry, I won't use it. But if it's there, I can always that way I'm stretching to meet the time that we need. And I also think too that we ought to maybe when we get into one of the multiple choice, maybe in the later 6th inning, could be more just general baseball and not Cubs. I mean, you tell me if you want to just say, hey, we're in the minute, make it in the 5th. Just one round of multiple choice to help so people watching are Cub fans, but they're baseball fans in general. You tell me if we want to graduate to that or maybe work that in.
That might be where we mix in one of the entertainment questions.
Yeah, there you go. Something a little lighter or something broader that just, and I know as this show develops, hopefully we'll add on and do other things, go broader.
Right.
But it's amazing you guys came up with.
But the idea of having the 7th and 8th inning be the C block is actually better too, because then if we are for whatever reason light when we enter the last block, that could be the perfect time where you recap the score, you explain the game. We're going to have 2 contestants that are probably former players. So you can also get to a quick question about their career. They can answer something, favorite moment, one of those things. Then you can be like, okay, now let's get back to our last inning. Here's the final question for the win or whatever. I like so that. We will have some more flexibility there, which I like.
Yeah. And since we're doing this in post, I know you guys can work with that. And also, obviously, some of these, like the Vogelbach question, I would have never. I mean, so some of these for players who, even though they know the game, we might have to have questions a little related more to them
Yeah, exactly.
Just so they're familiar, but viewers too can connect it to them, so that they're not. We don't want to make anybody feel stupid here. Again, it's not Jeopardy. So, but which is why we have the fun multiple choice, and I like those. Whatever
Once we know the contestants, we will definitely have questions that are more geared around their career or their teammates or something that they relate to. So it won't be so random.
Yeah. And if you have, obviously, if we have, Bruce on and Len, I mean, those guys, this is great. They'll be fun with this stuff. We can make them even harder, and they'll love it, and they'll get. But players or celebrities, again, we don't want people to feel stupid either watching the show or playing.
I crafted these questions with those two contestants in mind to start.
Okay. Well, you and Nick did okay, so you're fine.
We also have, we've worked on it.
Should we just go to? Since we're going to change that, do you want to go to the wrap up?
Yeah. We should. Let's do a couple of list questions for sure.
Okay, so that would be, help me out here. Seventh. That would be
seventh inning.
Seventh and eighth.
Seventh and eighth.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So would I be coming back from a break, Malik, or would I be?
Yep. You would.
In theory, you just be coming back from a break, recapping the score, introducing the contestants, and then setting up the question.
Okay. All right. So you tell me. I'm sorry. And I'm going to go right into the eighth inning because the seventh inning one is the one on tape that we don't have. So I'll just read the eighth inning one for our purposes.
Great.
Or is there a seventh?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right?
No, the seventh. You would still do the seventh inning. Taylor would do the seventh inning stretch. Is what that would be called. So you would still do the seventh inning.
Okay.
That's the Wrigley Field opponent homers.
Willie Mays. Let me see here. Hang on.
Yep.
Hang on. 6, 7, 11 players who homered at least 20. Yeah, that's it. Okay. All right. My printer screwed this up, but I'll be all right.
And maybe just testing this out, maybe we use Taylor going to break as the questions that aren't a part of the game. So maybe that, Chris, you're teasing more trivia ahead, and Taylor, what do you got for us? And she says, yeah, here's a fan question that you can think about going to break. It's X, Y, and Z, and then that way we're kind of killing two birds with one stone. Maybe that's the better way to do it.
And less.
So she's not really involved in the game from the scoring standpoint, but she's going to break each time. She's the one that gives a trivia question that fans can think about going during the break.
Yeah.
That don't have anything to do with the game.
Good.
I do definitely like the idea of her reading the teasers, that can almost be taped independently.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that idea. It's a good way to get another voice in the show.
Yeah, another person in the show. Yeah, or those bonus trivia questions, and she could say, hey, more of play at home coming up. It's a whatever. It's a close battle, or can whatever. If it's players, so long as can Rizzo rally from Leicester or whatever. So okay, so we're gonna start with the seventh inning. Okay, I'll just do that.
Yeah, 7. So real quick, I'll count you in. Introduce or introduce yourself. Introduce the guys real quick. Recap the score, and then Kevin. On this segment, we probably should live on the 3 shot. Okay.
Copy that.
Once you can start on the single, and then after he does the score, go to the 3 shot because this is just going to be a bunch of back and forth. So
Yep.
So just keep in mind, Notch and Steger, just talking over one another. So just make sure you're cleared to know when someone's given an answer, and then it's your turn to go.
Okay, yeah. We'll use Myers as the buffer here because I'll answer, and it'll either be yes or no. So if I answer, he'll say correct. Chris, you go. That way, we're never talking over each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And I can always.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I can always just say, too, is that your final swing or whatever, so we know he's done, and then we'll go to the next person. Because this one will be naming, there are 11 players, and you have to name as many as you can in the time frame. Nick, that's where we're going with this one.
Yeah.
But we're alternating still. We're naming one guy at a time each until one of us misses.
We are. Okay, until somebody misses. Okay, well, I'm going to have to follow. All right, I'll have to look at this. Okay.
And if we were doing this for real and I wasn't a contestant, I would I don't know if this would be a part where I said wrong or something like that. I'd have up a
Yeah, you should just to keep it interesting. But I wouldn't.
yeah.
I don't like. I don't like. I think the better way to do this, again, for simplicity, I'm just thinking out loud, is because I'm bouncing back. Although I like getting people back and forth, but I would rather just say, for this one, Nick, you got 30 seconds to name how many can you name, or whatever, or who,
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah, that works too. The only thing I don't like about that is that it's not fair at home sometimes when you think some of the questions are easier. That way, I kind of like it when both of us get the same question. We just answer until one of us misses. That's definitely something we can try out. Because I do like that we control the time.
Right. Let's try it that way, since that's the way you wrote. We'll try the way you had it with back and forth. It's just, again, I have to follow along, but we'll try it. Okay.
And remember, when we're doing this for real, Nacho would be the one keeping track too. Both of us, producer and researcher, would be keeping track to help you. We would write correct or wrong, bring in Notch.
Okay. Yeah, I see
that kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Yep, and that's all things we got to think about when it comes to timing. Like, it's just more time.
Yeah.
So it's
right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just.
But maybe that's why you said, all right, this round you get 1 minute, guys, total to answer as many as you can here.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Do it. Or 30 seconds each. Okay.
We can work on that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Let's
5.
Do you think we should? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Notch. If you got something, go ahead.
Oh, sure. I was gonna say, do you think we should do the 7th inning where we alternate, and then the 8th inning where we go 8th inning just for this taping sequence, so we can see which one we like better?
Yeah, let's do that. Seventh is alternate, and 8th inning is just
You have 30 seconds to answer as many as you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right.
Okay. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Play at Home on the Marquee Sports Network. We're in the later innings, and it's an 8-8 game with Chris and Nick all tied up. But now a chance for one to separate from the other. Just like a real game, a lot of runs are scored, but unlike a real game, it's not going to take 3 hours and 40 minutes. So let's go to our Wrigley Field opponents. 11 players who have homered at least 28 times as a Wrigley Field visitor. All right, and what we're going to do is each of our contestants here guesses, and then the other person guesses until somebody gets it wrong, and we'll try our best. And so, Nick, we'll let you go first when I set the timer, and here's the question again, and then Notch will follow. There are 11 players who have homered at least 28 times at Wrigley Field as a visitor. Name as many as you can, bouncing back and forth. And Nick, you go first. Go ahead.
All right, that's a lot of homers on the road. So I'll start in any team in the NL Central. I'll go with Albert Pujols.
And that is correct. We got one there. Go ahead, Nick. I'm Notch.
I'll go Willie Mays, of course.
Wow.
Willie Mays is correct. That goes back to Nick.
Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds. That is correct. Okay, 28 home runs. All right, how about you, Notch?
Michael Jack Schmidt.
And Mike Schmidt, second behind Willie Mays all time. That's correct. All right, go ahead, Nick. Get back to you. You each.
So Notch is naming all the Hall of Famers, huh? All right, I'll go Willie Stargell.
Willie Stargell is there. Very good. Notch?
You got to go Hank Aaron, the true home run champion.
Yeah, there's another Hall of Famer. Yes, he is the true. All right, I would not argue with that. All right, so Nick Steger, back to you.
How about Stan the Man Musial, Hall of Famer?
And Stan the Man is there. Yes, 28 home runs with Bonds. All right, not so far. You guys have hit them all. There's only 4 left.
I'll go another giant. How about Eddie Matthews?
Eddie Matthews is correct. All right, Nick.
I'm stumped here. I'll make a guess. I'll go. I got
throw
nothing.
out some hints.
I'm out.
Oh, no. All right. That will, we'll bring it in, but Notch, you still have a chance to get one more.
Mel Ott, Duke Snyder, and Orlando Cepeda.
That's a show off. So I don't know. I couldn't add the runs up fast enough, but it's probably like 14-12. This is like the Diamondbacks playing the Cubs at
Rockies.
Wrigley. The Rock right in Colorado. So anyway,
Wind's blowing
how
out.
long did that last? All right. So anyway, let's get now on this version. Let's go to not you're ahead by 80 runs or something, but in this version, you're going to each get 30 seconds to name as many as you can. So this is a chance without any interruption. Nick from Notch, you'll be able to make up some ground. Sammy Sosa hit 545 home runs in a Cubs uniform, most in franchise history, but there are 12 other players to hit at least 140 homers or more in a Cub uniform. So, Nick, when I start the timer, name as many as you can. So a dozen of them. Cub players, 140 home runs or more when they've hit them in a Cubs uniform. And, Nick, you're on the clock.
And this, before we start this, the 30 seconds, does that mean before I miss, or I can just keep randomly naming names until 30 seconds is up? And I get as many correct?
You could be wrong. Yeah.
You could be wrong.
Notch, what do you think? I just think
I think you can be
okay,
wrong.
so the contestant can just keep going for the whole 30 seconds no matter what. We're not stopping them.
Yeah, you'll only get I would say you would only get a run or credit. And this maybe could just count for one, right, whatever. But you would only get credit for the ones that are right, but you can keep naming names. I think that's more, you might come up with funny names. All right, so I'll ask you, and I'll start the clock. So you get, and we'll decide on the amount of runs because we don't want the score being 40-50. But there are a dozen other players hit 140 homers in a Cubs uniform. So name as many as you can. You'll only get credit, and I'll clarify, in 30 seconds. You only get credit for the ones that are correct. You don't lose anything for those that are incorrect. So do your best. And Nick, right now, you're on the clock. Go ahead.
Ernie Banks, Ron Santo,
Okay.
Billy Williams, Andre Dawson, Anthony Rizzo, I'm pretty sure Mark Grace, Derek Lee, Aramis Ramirez, maybe Chris Bryant.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, keep going. That's your final swing. Bryant, yes or no? Are you putting them in there? Because you got 11 out of 12, I think, or 10 out of 12. And Bryant was the only miss, right?
Yeah, Bryant's incorrect.
Okay, so but 8 correct. So that's good. Okay, I was trying to keep tab. So now that was pretty. Was 32 long, or what do you think? 20 seconds would have been better. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's 30 feels long, but it also at home it might feel like the right amount of time. When you're on the clock. Yeah,
I know. That's right. But you needed time. You were just guessing, but you needed time. You didn't hesitate at all, like most people. So that might be right. Okay. I mean, as long as the list is more than 3 or 4 guys, if it's a lot,
right?
Like that was a perfect number. You had a dozen of them. You named 8 correct. So how would we? Just I'm thinking out loud here. And not we don't have to do this with you because we don't. But how would we score that? Would you get?
What we could do is we could score it. For the first 3 you get right. If you get 3, you get 3 or less right, you get 1 point. You get between 4 and 6 right, you get 2 points. Anything over 6, you get 3 points.
If it does have like 12 or so, you could say if we'll count them as hits for everyone you get right, and if you get 4 hits, you get a run, kind of thing. You know what I mean? That like you would drive somebody in. I mean, if we're staying with the run theme, or is it?
But would you not score enough? Would you not score enough to separate the score from the other guy?
Yeah.
If you have to get 4 right just to get 1.
Yeah, maybe 3 hits get a run. Is that something we could just say?
I would think in the interest of simplification and giving a chance for someone who's trailing to make up points, I would just say like 3 points for each correct answer because we're pretty late in the game at this point, or 2 points per correct answer, whatever the denomination is.
Yeah, we can still have high scoring runs. We can have a 20. I mean, I think if you get 2, it's a run. We'll keep it simple. You're right. We don't want over. But you do want to
one thing we definitely want is to not have ties. We want it to be a clear winner entering that walk-off.
Right. Okay. No, then let's just you get a run for everyone you get right. That's fine. And if you get a lot of runs, you get a lot of runs. It's that kind of a thing. I don't know
maybe if you get more than 6, you get an additional 3 runs or whatever it is as a bonus. That way,
something. Yeah. Yeah, we can kind of adjust that to keep if we see a game getting lopsided. But I think generally,
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be close with multiple choice keeping it there, and yeah. So that's okay. So, but so don't worry about the score. The runs will count. We'll just call them runs, even if it's 80 to or 30 to 20 or something. That's fine. People want
timing
offense.
wise, guys, it timed out pretty well.
Good.
Okay.
And actually,
then
in total time, we'd actually, if we did that segment and the other two the way we did, we'd be pretty close to having like 2.5 for the ninth. So that's pretty good. The only thing is you got to keep in mind that's no Taylor, that's no Notch at all without anywhere in the show.
Mm-hmm.
No one needs me. But in the
we might.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we may need you for correction or information. Again, that can highlight the show. And I like, if the bumps are too much, we can drop those, but she can still ask the initial question or something. I don't know, just to keep it. But again, I think the multiple choice thing can move faster.
And then Malik, I would keep in mind that you would want to have a bottom half of the eighth, so you'd have to add at least like 45 seconds of time, like 15 seconds for the question and 30 seconds for the answer. So I would give yourself 45 fewer seconds.
So let's just try to do the ninth in 2 minutes just to get a gauge. And what did we say the ninth is here?
It's the 4 home run.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's should be the 4 home runs at Wrigley Field question.
This is only for the winner, though, right?
I thought we used it as like a tiebreaker worth like 25 points or something like that.
Yeah, let's. And I don't think. Yeah, if we have somebody who's already leading, how would we do that?
Would you want to do it like Jeopardy style, where you?
I like having both people involved at the very end. I don't want to, and then just the winner is the winner. But if let's just say you're up, 15-12 on Nick. How could we do this so that he has a chance in this last? Yeah, here's what we do. Maybe we think about this. I'm just thinking out loud. Let's just say whatever the score is, the guy trailing in the ninth, right? It's like your last at bat, or you use a pinch hit. But the guy trailing in the ninth, we'll have something set up where he can get as many runs to catch him, right? But he has to answer them correctly, and then should he tie, then the other guy gets to go and can win it. Does that seem to make sense?
Why don't you just make it worth like 25 points or something ridiculous? Like a huge amount of runs in order that the deficit could be made up.
Yeah, let's say we'll say a grand slam would be a 4-run inning, or
no, like
a 4-run. Is that enough? 4 runs.
This I think.
I mean, I guess we have to figure out what's at stake here. You know what I mean? Like, for you to gain something so much, you have to be able to at least lose that. You know what I mean? So we have to figure out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what are we playing for?
Right, and you don't want to penalize the guy who's...
There you go. How about we do a wager for this ninth inning one? We both get the question. Okay. You say you have 12 runs, almost like Final Jeopardy. You have up to 12 runs you can wager. Not you have up to 15. Here's the question. What are you wagering?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You could push in all...
That's a good idea.
You could be all in. You could push your whole stack in.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Yeah. You can get. Yeah. Right. You can end up getting shut out.
Right. We don't want to devalue the rest. We don't want to devalue the first 3 blocks. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's perfect.
That is good. And the guy who played ahead can be a little bit more conservative. It's just like the guy who's a big lead and have to bring in his ace to close it out. This kind of thing. Okay.
The question is, do we establish what we're wagering before we hear the question, or do we hear it? Come up with our wager, or do I know what Notch is wagering before I put my wager in or not? That's the other thing.
No, the way you don't. I like that we know, but and I don't know how the contestants don't know what the other guy's wagering, how many runs. That keeps it more. But the question, maybe I don't know. Does it matter? You probably got to put it. You probably got to hear the question and then wager. How do they do it on Jeopardy? Do you know? Do they hear this?
Yeah, they ask the question first and go to break.
Yeah.
teasing the question, and then the person answers it, and they show how much they wagered after they answered.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it that way. It's a little bit of a ripoff, but that's okay. We'll ask the question, and then you guys will wager. We don't know it until you guys have answered. And then
how would the contestant reveal? How would they reveal what they wagered, though? The contestants.
I would think on a card. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, give them a card and have them write it and flip it up. But yeah, you trust that they wouldn't change it. Yeah, see, I like that, but we don't. Yeah, it's getting a little. Yeah. It's just getting a little bit convoluted with. How about just at the end there, the last question? We can set the bar on what the score is. They don't know that they're playing, and let's just say somebody has a 3-run lead. I don't want to devalue, but maybe I could just say, since you have the lead, you have a chance to secure the win if they tie you. So and then we'll ask the question, hey, this is worth 3 runs or whatever it is. If the person ties it, then the other guy has a chance to win it. If not, then we go back to.
So we would write. We would write 2 questions then. One for the person trailing. If they get it right, they're now tied. Then you ask one more question to the guy who was in the lead for the win.
Right.
If he misses, the other person gets to answer that question, the same question correctly. Then.
Right. And then.
But that's the only problem is what happens. What happens if I get it right to tie, he misses, and then I miss, and now we're tied.
No, then we should have probably one more. Yeah, then we have that you final at bat or whatever you called it, the walk-off.
But who does that go to?
That. And how do we make that notch one that it's a one question? Maybe this. Yeah, that's where they could play something.
That's why I do like the wagering of the runs. That way, the first 3 rounds matter for how many runs you have, but it also will help avoid ties.
Yeah, then let's do that. We'll just tell them they have to have a card and something to write with at the end, and they can hold it up. Let's just do that. We'll have to trust them. I mean, it's a little combo, but it does have fun. And I would say this, Malik, you tell me too, in timing, or Nick, that we might need a little more time for that than at the end. In 2 minutes, that could be.
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah, I mean, but that goes into planning it. But knowing that now, that all makes sense. But I do like definitely the wagering is a good idea, and I do like just whatever's in their house. Everything we're doing is organic, right? Like you're holding up a board and everything. Like let's not mess up everything. Like it's all good. So I think that makes sense.
We're at home, and so your home version, write down on a pad or a pen as long as we can see the number of how many runs you're wagering, and that's what we'll do it. Yeah, we'll leave time for that, and that we can have a little fun. Make fun of handwriting or make fun of hey, well, how come you weren't more aggressive?
Well, whatever.
So
someone can bring in their kid to say the score. It's all good. It's just like we're at home having fun. It's a trivia game. It's like, let's not take it serious.
And remember, we're taping this too, so it's never going to be live, and it's never going to matter. So we can honestly, right before you even start the tape, we can just be like, how many are you wagering? 8? Okay, make sure you have something that says 8. You're wagering 5, great. And then, okay, Chris, here you go, start the segment. We'll since we're taping it anyway, we can still control how this is all done.
Okay, and the guy who's trailing would go first, right? I mean, the answer, and then we flip up his runs. Hey, you get this many. Okay, so you would have taken the lead, or you do take the lead. What did you wager? You do. Okay, good. No, that's a good way to. Okay, I like that. All right, so there's a lot of fine tuning, but we're on to something here. It's much more fun than talking about a season that may or may not start in a while. So. But this is good. This week, we could do this all year round. This is fun.
So Chris, I'll send a couple of a few more multiple choice options for our middle innings, and I'll work in a fun entertainment one, and then I'll send a more refined email out that's just more structured for here's the questions for contestant A and B each inning.
Right.
Here's all the multiple choice ones, and then because most of these questions that we're asking now will probably be the ones we use on the first episode. That way you're really familiar with them.
Cool. Yeah, and so the first 6 will be multiple choice. Then the 7 and 8. 7 is you bounce back and forth. 8 is you each get 30 seconds. 9 is our you wager, and that's the one question.
Yep.
And then I would say too, just for you and Malik producing, I wouldn't get caught up in the time of when we're doing this of we have to do 3 innings in the first segment. Or if we do 2 innings and you take a break and then we speed up and do 3, let it flow organically. We'll cover the innings, but just remind me that hey, we're through 3 or we're through 4. Don't let that force the segments. I mean, it'd be nice to balance them out, but I wouldn't want that to interrupt the flow of we still know it's a 9-inning game in theory. And I think that's cool. So if the first segment goes only 2 innings because we did the introductions, okay, well then we'll make it up in the next segment. We'll speed up innings, if we have to. That's where that multiple choice can help us, or if we need to fill,
For sure.
which we didn't have to with questions. Yeah, and Notch's little info. So good. All right, no, I like this. Is good. That's fun. I hope we get to do this for real.
So
Now,
you
wait,
want
so
to try and
Easter
do
Sunday
this
is
second just to give it a whirl?
what's that?
Let's try and give this last segment a whirl.
Okay. So what question should I use on this? And we're going to have
the only player to hit 4 home runs at Wrigley Field. It's,
okay.
all the way to the deep.
Okay, the walk-off. Okay. All right, good.
Yep.
All right, so Malik, you go ahead and guide me, and I'll play it as if for real. And so at this point, we'll say just for our purposes, Nick, you're up 2. Chris, you're up 2 runs. Okay.
Yep.
For the fun of the game.
We'll say it's 12 to 10. 12 to 10.
Okay, you guys got something to write down for your wagers?
Yeah.
How many did it could? Okay, so I could bet up to 12. Sure.
You can't bet.
I have 10 runs. I have 10 runs to wager. Nacho Man has 12.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And you let me know, Malik, when you want to roll.
Yeah, so same thing. Just come in, introduce yourself, introduce the guys.
Okay.
And then do the score, because that's the most important thing right now. And then Kevin, 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 why don't you just live on the 3 shot here?
Okay. Yeah, and timing wise.
Yeah, after.
Or should we?
Yeah, exactly. Live on that right there.
Well, you can't see me. Can you see the score?
Can you guys just make them darker? Both of yours needs to be darker.
I would obviously write it in black.
Not yours.
Yeah, I would write with a Sharpie also.
Yep, actually.
Yeah, just something.
Yeah, I got to use that bell more. Okay. And Malik, I would say for just this will help me too. If you, whatever time you have for this segment, if you can guide me on, if you put, hey, 30 seconds or whatever or something, or you got a minute to go, if you write it in or something.
Yeah, we would do that. But I just want to see, we want to see how it goes naturally. So let's just.
Okay. So don't worry about time here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Okay.
So we're going to have to find some music, Nick, for this segment and then also for the speed round.
Yep. And for the show.
Yep, show in general, yep. But these 2 as well, though. Yeah, that looks better.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep, way better.
And here's
Great.
There's the score.
Good.
Perfect.
I'm wagering my career on this. You guys are just putting
All right, here we go,
Some
boys.
bets are bigger than others.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here we go. You ready, Chris?
I'm ready.
Yep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're going to the 9th inning on Play at Home on the Marquee Sports Network. Our contestants have put up a good battle, and we hope you at home have guessed along with us. It's a 2-run difference. Chris and Nick, is 12-2 is the score as we play the 9th. And the way this works is 1 question, but you wager the amount of runs. Think of a Sports Jeopardy version that you want to put up so that you can make up the difference. So, Nick, you'd need to rally. Obviously, Notch, you could try to protect the lead. So you've each written down the amount of runs that you're going to wager on the question. And the question is, who is the only player to hit 4 home runs in a game at Wrigley Field? Can you tell me who that is? And since you were trailing, Nick, and need to play catch-up here, first of all, can you correctly answer the question? 4 home runs. Only one at Wrigley.
4 homers at Wrigley. That is
You're on the clock.
Michael Jack Schmidt is the only one I remember.
Yes, that is correct. And how many runs now? So you wagered 10. So you now take a 20-12 lead. So we would have to go to Notch and ask a question before David Ross. Shall I just pick another question here?
So actually, what we would have to do is we would have to do it where we show how much we're wagering, and we have to write the answer at the same time.
Yep.
Right. I was just going
you're
to say,
right.
we should just do we should do our final segment just like they do Final Jeopardy. Like, don't overthink it.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. You have to write down. Yeah, you have to write the answer first, right? Then what you wagered. Okay,
Right.
You're right. And you both have,
So
and
you
also
come
show
in,
them. Right. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So you'll come
Right, I
in,
forgot
you'll
about
introduce everybody, you'll do the score, what the score is now, and then you'll say, gentlemen, here's our question, and then you'll tee up the question, and then in theory we would hear a tick or something, we'd give them 10 seconds.
Okay.
And then they'd be
Okay.
fake writing, and then they'd write down, and then you go, all right, Nick, you're behind. What'd you bet? What's your answer, and what'd you bet? Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Try it again.
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nice to have you watching Play at Home. We're in the 9th inning. It's a 2-run difference. I'm your host, Chris Myers, and our contestants, Nick and Chris, have played a close one here. Enjoyed hearing their answers along with you at home, guessing along with Cubs and sports baseball trivia. So think of this as a final Sports Jeopardy. We have one question. You can put up the amount of runs you want to put up against the opponent. And the question is, who is the only player to hit 4 home runs in a game at Wrigley Field? So if you could write down the answer, how confident you are, and then how many runs you want to wager against this one answer, you could get shut out. You could take the lead. Chris, you could protect the lead. Think of bringing in your ace reliever to close out Nick. So let me know when we're on the clock here, and we'll have music. We'll give them 30 seconds.
We'll probably do 30 seconds.
30 seconds, right? Okay. Now, and I can always throw something in or have some note about
Hey, Chris,
some of the
you
other
got me?
questions we've had. Yes. Go ahead, Malik.
I actually think you were doing a good job of just filling the time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
So I'll
Like
do that.
again, like why bring in the tool? We're doing everything organically. Like you could just say, oh, so while you tee up the question and they're writing it down,
Right.
you could even recap what's happened in the first 3 segments. Our first 3 innings, Notch took a big league. Our second, in the middle rounds, Seager was strong, but now we had our speed round and Seager caught up, and now we're here for our final answer. Like you did a really good job. I think just continue that.
Yeah, I could say,
and I could even
playing for Anthony Rizzo's charity. I could throw that in again, or our next week's guest on the show, or whatever. Okay.
And if you really need
that's
time,
the
I could say
have an accordion of time. You know what I mean? So if we were heavy, we would say just do it quickly, and if we were light, we could just say take your time with this one.
Okay.
And then if you really needed, I could say like there's been 18 4-homer games, but only one person's done it at Wrigley, or just some sort of background.
Yeah, that's the kind of nugget. Yeah, if you have that, give me a couple of bullet points with that final question, Notch. That would help. I could throw that in too to make it fun, but more about the game show too. Okay, or about our play at home.
Okay, let's do that again. Let's just try fill in the time, and let's try it again.
Okay.
Here we go, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we welcome you back to Play at Home, the Cubs' inaugural home trivia game, along with our 2 contestants, Nick and Chris. I'm Chris Myers, your host. It's been fun. We're in the 9th inning. It's only a 2-run difference, and if we check the homemade scoreboard, you see Chris got that early lead and just would not let up, continuing to pummel Nick until Nick rallied in those middle innings. Thank God for the rapid fire 30-second round. But here's this question. Like, think of a sports final, double jeopardy, and Nick, this gives you a chance to rally, or Chris to seal it. You wager, once you hear the question, how many runs you want to put up on the board to either gain or lose based on if you get the correct answer. So here's the question, and you'll be on the clock for 30 seconds here. Who is the only player to hit 4 home runs in a game at Wrigley Field? So who is the only player? And we will have 30 seconds for you to write the correct answer and also the amount of runs that you are wagering on this particular closeout. Again, a 2-run lead for Chris. And don't forget, we are playing to benefit Anthony Rizzo's charity. Next episode, we're going to have Bill Murray going up against Jim Belushi when we play at home, and we appreciate you guessing along with us as well. Now we're aiming for the stars here. Okay, so our 30 seconds is up, and let's see, Nick, since you're trailing by a couple of runs, show us. And yes, you have the correct answer and 10 runs, so that's 20 runs on the board. And let's see if Chris got it correct and if he wagered anything. And Chris, of course, being obnoxious and full of himself, what is that? 12 runs? I couldn't see. Katie Martinez?
Yeah.
Oh, you were going to guess wrong? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So you would lose. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's
respect
it's
the org chart.
Someone of your stature would a wrong chart, wrong. Yeah, wrong. Somebody could have. Knowing you have like a layer of pages, and you just lift the right one. So our winner is Nick. We're going to disqualify Notch for knowing too much and annoying the host, which you get eliminated from the show.
Never underestimate the heart of a champion, guys. Never underestimate the heart of a champion.
All right, and Nick, they're proud from New Mexico, to Bristol to Secaucus, New Jersey, and all points beyond, from coast to coast. He hung in there, the steady, the steady battler, and rallied to win in the ninth inning. All right, well, thanks to both of you. We appreciate it. The winner gets to donate whatever his charity, and we appreciate it. For Nick and Chris, I'm Chris Myers, our entire crew on the Marquee Sports Network. Thanks for playing. Play at home, and we'll see you next time for a little fun at home, something like that. Okay.
That was good. That final segment.
That's the last guy who had 4 homers in a game.
Right.
Yeah, the final segment worked.